welcome to another episode of Soul Talk, where we talk to the Star Citizen community about Star Citizen. 10 years ago, a crack commando unit was sent to Kletcher by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These individuals promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to Grimhack. Today, still wanted by the UE, they survive as soldiers of Orison. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Soul Citizens. You recognize that one, right?
That was rather poetic. No, I didn't recognize it. Tell us what it was.
Someone in Twitch chat, please tell me you recognize that one.
I don't know, somebody.
That is the A team.
Fast cart. You have to remember that our demographic is the minority in the community.
But you should help me out here. You should know these
things. But you know what? Weirdly enough, I was not an A-team person. Weirdly enough, I mean,
Knight Rider either, evidently.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a Knight Rider person either. I knew about the shows, but they were not the shows that I watched. So I have to admit, I'm a little behind on that.
Okay. So let's get back to that. But how are you doing, Griffin?
I'm doing good. It's another Thursday, right? And, we had some good stuff happening over the past week. ISC and all the things we're going to talk about today. But it was been hot here in my city. It's been like 90s and humid and funky. So the weather's finally changed today. So I'm feeling a little bit better now.
Yeah, I was down under the weather on Tuesday, but I'm feeling much better now. So I'm glad
good.
It's over.
Absolutely.
Morty got it. Morty said the A-team. So someone got it. Thank you, Morty.
Morty, you made him happy. You made him happy, Morty. Thank you.
No, so let's get back to that. What thing did you watch in the 80s that you recognize?
You know what I watched? I watched science fiction stuff. I was not into very many sitcoms in the 80s or the 90s, believe it or not. I hate to say that.
I call Knight Rider science fiction. That's my opinion, though.
Don't get me wrong, it was, but I mean, I was more space-oriented stuff. I didn't watch any. Man, I mean, like the only sitcoms like I watched during that time period was like, remember, like V and stuff like that. I watched the War of the Worlds sitcom, not sitcom, but the series, the series. I watched Battlestar Galactica as a series. I watched all that stuff, but I never got into like I never watched Blue Thunder. I never watched.
I'll go do that next week.
Yeah,
I Blue Thunder or Airwolf. One or the other.
I was familiar with Airwolf, but I never watched that one either. I think maybe I watched a couple episodes, but not like that weekly thing. You know what I mean? So you got me beat on that when it comes to the nostalgia from the 80s and 90s.
Okay, I have a question for you. Just one question. Then we move on to the Star Citizen. Automan. You remember Automan?
No.
See, that was science fiction. You would have loved
Wait
it.
a minute. Science fiction. Games. Was this that was the car thing, right? The guy who was made into like a robot or something?
He was an electronic being, but his car made 90-degree turns like a video game.
Okay, I found out about that series after the fact. I was not watching it when it was on.
Okay, so all right.
I know I'm terrible, Fast Cart. I know I'm terrible.
You redeemed yourself. All right, so let's get back to Star Citizen. Let's get back to Star Citizen. This week or last week, rather, they in the newsletter they put out a CitizenCon announcement. They said, do you have it up, or do you want me to read it?
No, I don't. But if you,
I'll read it. Okay,
cool.
So July 23rd, 2021. Greetings, citizens. Our annual CitizenCon Spectacular is back and going digital on October 9th. From sharing our latest development, a Mind Epic cosplay, and a bevy of community event, contests, and more, this event will be a memorable experience for all. More for this week is our CitizenCon 2951 event, starting with our community video contest and cosplay contest. Also, the Alpha 3.14 pack is now available in the PTU public testing event to our backers and final testing before release. Thank you for your continued support. This Star Citizen team.
I completely forgot that I put that in Discord for me to read. Sorry.
No problem. But I'll put the link for the save the date in Twitch chat.
Yeah.
But
So, are
yeah.
you excited about the Digital CitizenCon and the fact that they're doing some of these other things like the cosplay and the community videos? Are you going to cosplay anything or do a community video?
No, I'm
You've
kidding.
been in
No,
you've been in videos. You've been in CitizenCon videos.
I have. I almost did one last year, but I missed out on it. My own
Oh,
procrastination. But what was I
well,
gonna
you got
say?
plenty of time this year. You can do one
Yeah,
this year.
well, I'm not gonna do any cosplay. That's for sure. That's the cosplay is not my thing.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
I am looking forward to it. Especially like, some people go way out of their way with stuff, and some
Hmm.
people just go simple, like bag head. I can do bag head.
Okay. There you go.
But I can't do some of that extensive armor and 3D printing and all that good stuff to get
Yeah.
put on it, people.
Well, the Hurston hat is pretty easy to do. I'll give you
Mm-hmm.
that. Not a big deal. Ziploc bag and you're straight.
Yeah, make sure you put a hole in it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Most definitely. No, I'm excited about it. Obviously we didn't get to have a CitizenCon last year, so I know everybody's looking forward to this year, even though it's going to be digital and virtual. I know everybody's looking forward to seeing what happened over a 2-year period since the last time we heard from CIG at that level. So it should be exciting.
Oh, you want to drag some people down here? Talking
Yeah,
CitizenCon?
let's bring the gang down. Let's see who we have today. Let's see. I'll bring them down one by one.
Put a minigun on the card. Yeah, that could work. That might be illegal, and every place except for Texas. Texas is okay. Everywhere else, it'd be a problem.
All right,
Hey,
welcome
everyone.
everybody.
Hey.
We've got Admiral Kusanagi, Dark Knight 75, Fist to Face, Jade, and Pops in Space. We got a big crew tonight.
Yeah,
How are
full
you
house.
tonight? Hey, we here. Have some fun. Yeah.
So, but everyone else excited for CitizenCon this year? Or digital
Of
CitizenCon?
course. Yes. Of course. It's BYOB, right?
You always ask that.
I'm just asking. I just want to know where the food is at.
Now, Fist and Pops, were you guys in the game in 2019? Did you get to see the CitizenCon then, or did you just have to catch the recordings afterwards?
I had to catch the recordings afterwards.
So this will be your first one where you get to actually sit live and watch everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yeah.
This will be my first as well. I have never
Yep.
sat in a CitizenCon, so
I'm a
I'm kind of like
newborn.
missing pops. Yep.
The newborn baby.
Okay, so the veterans are Jade and Admiral Kusanagi. They look like they're the veterans that have been there and done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jade,
Never
you looking
been-
forward?
Yeah, done that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to any Citizen Conda, just for the record. But I've watched many, but I've never been. I've watched a few of them, but I've never been there.
Okay.
Curious, before we get off the subject, will anybody have like a Zoom, like a watch party as we're watching the CitizenCon?
What most people do, if I shouldn't say most people, what a lot of people do, especially if you're in an orgs will all get in their Discord and watch
Right.
it together. That's
Gotcha.
usually what folks will do, is something along those lines,
Okay.
or they'll watch streamers, because most of the major streamers, if they're like, even when we were having them live, the people who were here in the States, if it was over across the pond,
Mhm.
Captain Richard, people like that would be
Okay.
streaming, and people would tune into them because they'll do coverage of it. But in general, if you're in an org, and I would suggest you guys have an org, you can even do it yourselves and invite people, and because people like to
Okay.
have the conversation. People will sit quietly, but it's a matter of how you want to do it.
And,
Yeah.
and with COVID was settling down for a little bit. Now it's kicking back up. But what I was hoping to do in Boston was have a watch party at a theater, where we rent a theater for like 4 or 6 hours and watch the presentation.
That's a cool idea. That's a very cool idea. I mean, technically, if you decide to do distancing and stuff, it wouldn't be any different than anything else. But I guess it depends on how many people you're talking
How many
about. and
people you're
everything,
talking
so-
about, yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
probably have like 20 or less than 20, 15,
Yeah.
10, 20. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
I'm
that's
looking
an
forward to
idea. Ramon wants to know, did Soul Citizen doing a Twitch watch party?
Ooh, our brains haven't even gotten that far yet, Raymar.
Right.
I hate to tell you that. We haven't even gotten that far. We'll let you guys know that if we do decide to do something, or maybe if you guys tell us that you'd like for us to do one, maybe we'll do a stream. Usually we're sitting in on somebody else's stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, we could
Yeah.
either do one of our own, or we could like hang out with some other people.
Yeah,
with them.
We'll see. We got too many people of our own people to hang out with. We don't need anybody else. Right, Jade? Right, Jade? Right, DK? We don't need anybody else. We got you guys.
The more the merrier, right? Yeah.
Well, there's 10 of us.
I can
so
go
don't know how
either
many-
way on this.
Okay, very cool. Hey, Uri, the best 300 pilot is in. Good to see you, Uri.
Hey,
That's a
Uri.
bold
Hey,
statement.
Yeah, he's claiming the crown, I guess. Yeah.
So next up we have the if you look in Twitch, the stream, I have the sneak preview from last week, the news from the newsletter. It's hospital bound, so you know there will be treatment. I'm not sure what area that was, because the week before that was Grimhex, according to you guys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the one with the stretcher last week was Grimhex. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because it could be Grimhex, but for them to do two back-to-back is kind of interesting. What do you all think? Because they're supposed to be putting these little mini hospitals and clinics throughout the verse, on stations and everything else. So what do you guys think that might be?
I think they were talking about this last night on
I know this is
Yacht
grim.
Club.
See, I've got an inkling that could. It of course it feels grim because of the sloppiness, but almost for a second thought ArcCorp, like one of those
Which
dark
one?
areas of
Right now?
ArcCorp, one of those dark alleys. But it's hard to say,
Are you talking about the one on your screen right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Grimhex. And the
That
reason
is
I know it's
Grimhex.
Grimhex is because if you look at that health sign, that green health sign in the middle, it says Grim on it.
There you
They
go.
broke
Oh,
the
Grim Health.
like
Okay,
green-
you're right.
Detective
Yeah,
It does. It says
Kusanagi.
Grim Imperial Health. I see it now.
Detective Kusanagi. He got it.
This is what happened when you studied the pixels. You can tell by the pixels.
Good call,
Got
Admiral.
it.
Good call.
I hope I sound okay. I've had some mic issues tonight, so
we can hear you clear. You got a little hissing, but don't worry about trying to fix it. It'll probably be more of a headache than anything else.
You gotta turn that fan off.
Calling in from the cockpit of his ship.
There you go.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to implement this whole thing with clinics versus hospitals. Obviously clinics will have probably more limited service than maybe you won't be able to get surgeries done, but maybe there'll be some lower level medical things you can get done there. What do you guys think?
I was just going to say, regardless whether or not it's Grimhex or ArcCorp, there's not a place I want to get treated at. That was my quick thought. Other than that, what do you guys think?
depends on your insurance policy there, fast car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a criminal, you may not have much choice.
Mm.
True.
You're right.
True.
You're right.
At least not until Pyro.
Yeah. But see, you know what though? I want to say something because I've noticed with games, even though it seems like it may have a degraded care in there, you never know. You never know. Because usually most of the times in games I've seen on the villain side, they always have something special.
That's
Do you
true.
remember that? Do you remember that female NPC at Levski who had
With the mechanical
I think
leg?
she had the
Rekka
mechanical
Vitalia.
leg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can imagine her being able to maybe get something maybe a little bit better than this. Maybe Levski has a slightly better medical location. But like I would imagine that if you were on Microtech, you could get like something that you would see from that guy from Starship Troopers, like that full mechanical arm that was his professor, that he got that really nice looking mechanical arm. So I think that's like the difference that you might see throughout the verse is like you just, get what you pay for, get what you can get.
I don't know about the rest of y'all, but as soon as I make some money and when the game goes live, I'm gonna get her some better legs, so just so she can walk better. Because I saw that when it came out, what 2 years ago, and I was like, dang, I know that's good technology and look good and amazing, but this is 2951. It can't do better than that.
Yeah, she looked like she had the leg on the thing from Aliens, the walker. It's almost looked like wow.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask if you would have like different or types of variations of quality of of those types from, say, Microtech might have something more high tech, and then you might get something from Drake at Grimhex. You know what I mean?
but you know what?
Say about Drake? What you trying to say about Drake? There, DK?
Wow.
Holy smoke!
But you know what? For those of us who watch The Expanse, not trying to give too much away, right? There's a thing in there where the criminals, they would get enhancements. So you never know. That's what I was trying to say. Like when you think about Grimhex, I mean, I wouldn't count it out,
Right.
You might get those enhancements,
I know this must be a really dangerous universe for women because there's only 2 women NPCs. One's got messed up leg, and Grist's wife, Tasha Pacheco. Look at her hand.
As soon as you said,
really? I never noticed
exactly. I knew exactly what you're talking about, Jade. Yeah, and I agree. You have a good point there.
Coffee Gaming, thank you so much for the subscribe. We really appreciate that for 10 months. We appreciate that. And also, Cyvern, thank you for the follow. And Dino Mew, thank you for the follow as well. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm
Drake ship. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Drake, okay, right.
The Colossal's line, living a Drake, dying a Drake. So go figure. I do think we have seen that they are setting up costuming and clothing and things of that nature based on the planets and their culture. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched, Fist, for them to create maybe, or I think DK and you both said, maybe the level or quality of what you get is based upon the technology of that planet. That doesn't seem too far-fetched to do. Don't forget, there's also going to be other things that give you enhancements that are not mechanical, if you know what I mean. So,
I know what you mean.
So even if it doesn't come from a mechanical standpoint, it may come from another, standpoint as well. But it would be interesting to see if they go down that path. But we'll see.
In the words of Love Machine, botanicals.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, gotta have botanicals.
My question is, so if a CEO is working on a place like ArcCorp, what does the CEO get medical benefit from? Because he's not going to a place like that.
But you know what, Fastcart? They mentioned about insurance when they talked about the health insurance, that there would be different levels of it too. And so I think it's going to be a matter of what people want to pay. And I don't know if those payments, they're going to put taxes in the game, right? I don't know if it's going to be where you pay monthly, or is it a one-time payment? I'm really curious because insurance is going to have both, whether it's for ships or health, it helps keep the economic engine going. And if it's a flat rate, then no big deal, right? You pay it once and you're done. But if you have to pay a monthly, something like that, it'll be really interesting to see, what people will choose to pay, what are they willing to sacrifice? Some people are going to want premium care. They even talked about it. If you pay the highest amount for care, you can even be spawned on your ship versus being spawned in a hospital. So it'll be really interesting to see what this ladder is for insurance in the game.
Yeah, my thing is that even if the CEO has a premium or highest tier insurance, is he still going to be wanting to go to someplace like this? That's
well, he wouldn't be there, would he? I mean, he wouldn't be in Grimhex, would he?
No, not well. ArcCorp. That's my.
ArcCorp is that's my home. ArcCorp's a nice place. What are you talking about?
Hey, really?
You better watch your mouth.
Well, let me put it this way: it's better than Hurston. Okay, it's better than Hurston.
It is better than Hurston.
All right, it's not Verizon. It's not Microtech. Granted.
The best thing I like about ArcCorp's areas, you can play your music as loud as you want. Nobody complains because it's drowned out by the rest of the city.
There you go.
See, I don't think that there might not even be like, I mean, yes, there's going to be some type of health insurance, but it could be like, say you got a residence at Microtech. I like Microtech. Let's stick it there. And it's like, oh, here's your whatever, here's your key fob or whatever, your hand waving device, and then it's like a condo association where wherever you go in the city, you have access to it. Like you need a new leg, that's where you go. You need like a dental work, that's where you go. So like being able to purchase that property within that metro area gets you the services within that metro area. Kind of like it keeps the like exclusivity like extremely high. So not only are you paying for like that actual property that you can like that one bedroom thing, it gets you like everything.
It could
kind
be
of like living at Orison. If you're living there and you have access to that hospital and whatever enhancements that they have that are Crusader type of enhancements that on their level of quality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no door to get into the the nightclub at Microtech. It's just open. There's no there's no bouncer or anything like that. It's just it just looks like a high classy area. So like what gets you into that place? I think it might be because of your class.
Did it get you into you mean into Wally's?
Yeah, into Wally's.
I don't know.
Right, there's no bouncer. Right now, there's no bouncer.
Yeah, right now there's no bouncer.
Well, I know that they're supposed to be doing some type of rework or some type of work to the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about that at Microtech. So whether now here to your point, those could be public because in that same area, there are closed off areas. There are restaurants that have doors that actually have like an area like almost where a bouncer would stand. So I'm curious as to whether or not those may be more exclusive places because they have doors. They're locked right now. I think one of them is like a sushi place, or it sounds like it's an Asian influence type food. There's like 2 or 3 restaurants that are like that. And I wonder whether or not those places might fit the bill of what you're talking about versus the open places like Wally's and stuff, because that's more of a concourse. Because you've even got a Whammer's Burger, plug for Whammer, by the way. Whammer's Burgers there. The clothing store is there. So are you saying that people who live in Microtech have some type of advantages being able to access those versus people who don't?
I think it'd be a good idea. I think it'd be nice to have something like that.
Some type of incentive.
Yeah, type of incentive to stay there.
I think Dave mentioned it is Oza Restaurant might be one of those places
that's the one I think he's talking about.
Yeah, Oza. Yeah, we'll see, right?
And Microtech and Lore is the party capital of Stanton. So if you want the fun drugs, that's where you go. Go see somebody at Wally's. They'll hook you up.
Wait, what kind of drugs?
You got those Stims at Ray Ari.
Oh boy!
But to point earlier about the health and insurance, I think they're probably going to do health the same way they do. I think they do health insurance the same way they do the ship insurance. I mean, they got the system in place. Well, why not do it for both people and ships? You can buy a slot of 6 months of insurance, or you can buy a slot of 1 month insurance, or you can do monthly, or you can do.
Oh, you mean like that? Like how for the duration of the policy? Yeah, the duration of the policy. Yeah, they could be.
The only thing they won't do is LTI for people. That's the only thing they won't do.
Yeah, the payment structure, like you said, it could be the same way they do ships. And again, like I said, they mentioned different levels and types of insurance. I mean, in fact, when you go to, is it New Babbage or Orion? Which one of them you can actually go there and there's a health, there's a health insurance. Is it at Horizon? There's an insurance station there. There's an actual insurance station there where you would go to take care of that. So we'll see.
You think insurance pricing will change based on your landing zone? So
they mentioned that insurance would be affected by a lot of stuff. They even talked about that there would be a tracking for your ships. Like if you let's say you decide to self-destruct, the insurance company is going to respond to that. They're not going to take it as a loss of ship. They're going to take it that you did a deliberate act to destroy it. And it will impact your insurance later. And they even, if I'm remembering correctly, somebody who's been around longer than me might remember, I thought they said that you might even that might be limited, like how much you could do that before you get dropped or something. Like there'll be some type of negative impact to doing self-destructions on your ship over time.
And there's always been a question of what happens if you had LTI.
Yeah.
But I don't think they really clarified that. But
as long as they have that.
Go ahead, go man.
Hey, as long as they have it like delineated, like if you do that in unmonitored space, then there's no way for them to know what you did. But if you did it right outside of Armistice at PO, right by the comm array or whatever, and they see it, then yeah, okay, that's a strike against you. You can't keep doing that.
And that's going to lend itself to you opening up another can of worms there, GoMab. When your ship is destroyed outside of monitored space, how do they know what happened? How does the insurance company know what happened?
Will they send out investigators?
Well, I'm just saying, how will it be? How will that be tracked so that when you file a claim, because maybe it was piracy, right? Maybe somebody took your ship. Maybe it was negligence. I mean, I'm really curious to see how they will track that and determine whether or not, your premium stays the same, your premium goes up, you get dropped. But like you said, you mentioned a good point. If it's outside of monitored space, they're going to have to figure out some way to do that because, people could claim their ship is gone.
I would just say if you go outside monitored space, you lose your claim.
Oh no, there's a lot more unmonitored space than there is monitored space in the verse.
Right.
To me personally, I think they're going to have to just keep it simple and say, hey, look, if you are a abuser of the insurance, like if you
too frequently,
too frequently, if every week you're claiming a ship, then your premium's just going to go up, right? To the point where it's you might as well just buy a new ship, bro. So you might as well insure yourself because it's going to be prohibitively expensive.
Yeah,
and Jalen just make a point in Twitch chat. It said new gameplay loop, claim adjuster. Can you imagine that at the profession in Star Citizen?
Somebody will find the wreckage, find the black box and see what happens.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Orison earlier. As of July 23rd, Star Citizen Alpha 3.14 is on the PTU for all backers. So I haven't participated because I'm waiting for it to go live. But I think everyone else in here has probably been on the PTU.
Nope, we got one person who I know hasn't.
Yep.
Not me.
Dark Knight.
Nope. Admiral always holds out. He always waits.
I'm a holdout now, I tell you.
I'm showing you fast cart.
I'll go with you, fast cart. I already tried to get Griff. I'm trying to get somebody who hasn't seen anything, and we can both go like, oh my god, look at that.
We'll
join you there, Admiral.
Yeah, we still do that now.
Romantic stroll on Orison for the first time together. How about that, Admiral?
Believe it or not, Admiral, I guarantee you everybody here still says that when they go to Horizon, even now, even though we've been there. It's pretty amazing.
Guys are just like, oh, thank God that, this thing isn't screwing up or something like that.
So my question is for people who are on the PTU, does it feel close to going to live?
I think it's getting slow.
In there.
Yeah, I mean they've got some type of blockers going, but I would hope that maybe this weekend it would go out. Since it's been pretty much, I haven't heard a lot of people complaining about too much of anything now. They did some fixes. They've been doing a lot of bug fixes, and I haven't heard players complaining about drops or 30Ks as much. The big distance thing we talked about last week with Horizon's been fixed. So I don't know. Unless there's something else going on that they might decide to hold off on, because they've been making improvements on it for sure.
Last couple of patches have been pretty light.
They fixed that atmosphere.
To your point. But I was going to say to your point, though, about the 30Ks and server stability, one thing that I did notice, we did the Xeno threat with, what was it, 50? They still have 50 because remember they dropped it down to 40 for performance issues, and they have it at 50, and we didn't have that issue until it was towards the end, and we 30K'd. But it was just kind of a good sign to see that they're able to keep Orison in the game as well as run Xeno threat and have the cap still at 50
and Ninetales.
Yeah,
which I think they were trying to do at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
but do you think the NPC response would be better at 40?
I don't know, Admiral. I
I
mean, 'cause to
haven't
be
heard
honest with you,
complaints. I haven't heard complaints about it. In fact, I've been hearing people talk about how much more aggressive they've noticed that the NPCs are.
yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Remember when we were in there?
hmm
They were throwing everything at the kitchen sink at us.
Everything, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
haven't done a bunker mission, but I heard that the AI has gotten way better, taking cover much more. I think there might even be utilizing the reload systems, but I've heard positive things in relation to NPC AI so far.
So Griffin was hoping that it'll go live this weekend. What are other people's expectations when it'll go live?
I think it's hopeful to go live this week, but it really depends on whatever little blockers that they were really trying to fix. And I think they want to get it right before they release it because there's so much writing on this particular patch. And if they can get it out this weekend, that would be great. But I would assume that they would have to have a couple people on standby for any fixes that come throughout the weekend. Otherwise,
that's normal.
yeah. But otherwise, I would say it'd be safe to go. Like say Tuesday or next week would be a perfect time to do it. But that's just me.
It must be your day off.
I'm freelance. Every day's a day off.
No, that's
I will
right.
pay you Tuesday for a live release. No.
Well, on the
You went
weekend,
way back.
everybody will be jumping in. Maybe on a Tuesday, could ease into the
That's true.
launch.
That's true.
Yep. And you got plenty of time to throw hot fixes before the next week.
Yeah, I definitely would say within the week. If not this weekend, within the week.
Okay. All right. Cool. So next up we have the roadmap. Put that in here and put the link in Twitch chat. So have anyone had a look at the roadmap yet?
Yeah,
No.
I looked at it. Well, I can read it. I can read it for those of you who have not read it.
Please do.
All right, we'll skip over the introduction stuff. It's the regular intro stuff, but notable changes for July 28th. The progress tracker. These deliverables have been added to the progress tracker. Proximity mines. Implementing proximity mines into the game, which are explosives that have defined area trigger zone. When someone or something enters that zone, the trigger is tripped and the mine explodes. The next one, male specialist heavy RRS armor. Creating the RRS specialist heavy armor set, including its material variants. There's in the release view, they're adding hacking is back under tech. Development on hacking is continuing to make good progress. After a round of internal feedback, we've made the decision to spend some additional time on this feature in order to release it in a more polished state. For this reason, this card has been moved to Q4 3.16. They pushed that back. Okay. That's
Somebody tell me what RRS.
Thank you.
Good question.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes.
Run, shoot. Run, shoot.
Wow.
What?
I'm just kidding. I don't know what RRS is.
I looked it up and I
that's
couldn't find
as
anything.
that's as good as explanation as anything. Run, shoot. Let's go with that from now on.
Well, the other thing too is that they emphasize this as a specialist heavy armor, which I haven't heard them define by like classes or type of job that you're doing. When I mentioned specialist, I think we were talking about that new who's the people that make the rock, the Gray Cat armor. We know that one is kind of designed for people who are doing mining, and here we hear something called male specialist heavy. So I'm curious to see about that. And it says male specialist, not just specialist heavy armor. So does that mean that females don't get one? I don't know.
I was actually wondering that
They
when I
usually
saw
start
it.
with
Like,
the
what?
guys.
Yeah,
Mm.
we'll have to see
Like
what's
Jay
Yeah,
said
but we're gonna
earlier.
get new heads, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all
In
can
fact,
have the armor. Just get me a new head. I'll be all right.
yeah, my understanding is they actually have them on the NPCs at Orison. The women, some of them have the new hairstyles or something like that. So I
Yeah,
have to go
Yeah,
back and look.
looking at
Yes,
that.
they looked great. They really did.
Yep. Now, let me go back to that very first item, the proximity mine. Don't quote me, but is this a foreshadowing of the Nautilus?
No.
Mm.
Okay.
Is that so? Is it an
says no.
FPS? Is it
It
FPS
says
or
no.
That's what I'm thinking. It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just says it's a proximity mine, which explodes, has a defined trigger area.
it
When
says well,
someone
but it says
or
when
something
someone or
or
something? Yeah.
something, and well, what's the thing? Maybe a vehicle, I guess,
Yep.
enters that zone or
Mhm.
ship.
Or
the
animal.
trigger is tripped and the mine explodes.
I'm just thinking about when I'm taking down my my crime stat, right? Setting that up to guard the door.
Yeah, personnel mine. Yeah, protect your rear.
Yeah,
For the claymore.
Specify
Yeah,
what
like a
type of
claymore,
mine
something
it
like
is.
that.
yeah. In retrospect, it to Jade's point, it probably is something that's localized and not because the mines in space they track you. The ones that are out there, once they detect you, they come after you.
I'm just going to
No,
change
you're-
my name to Jade Hype Killer.
You know, you're
Well,
bleeding
actually,
out.
it was more deliberate to start conversation, but that's okay. He just killed it.
Right.
You know, you're bleeding out, and you're just like, I'm gonna die. And then let me just put a bomb next to me so I can take out the person that's gonna take my gear.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Do you
I
think
mean,
people will
what if the
specialize
person
in?
take your gear? You go back to and come back in a clone. I mean, you blow yourself up twice.
Let me ask you guys a question. I was watching the Bad Batch, right? Not the Bad Batch, but episodes with the Bad Batch in them in Star Wars, Clone Wars, and they had that one person, the one guy in there who was like specialized in tech, right, in hacking in particular. Do you think that there will be people who will specialize in that? You know, like if you're in your group and it's like,
Oh yeah.
fast car, get over here, hack this. Do you think there'll be people who
Yeah, you're
will
not going to be
actually
asking me to do that, but yeah,
focus
I'm
on?
pretty sure you'll be asking. There'll be some people who eat that stuff up, who love that stuff. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
I always say players will
Demolition
be
Man?
players. No matter what you have out there, players will be players. And there are people who will pick any type of career or tasks that's out there. There are enough people that will probably do that. There was a Elite Dangerous commander who comes over and all he wants to do is play a mechanic and fix
Right.
ships. That's it. So yeah, I could easily see that.
Yeah, I think there'll be people who specialize in any career that is deep. So like if they make hacking, as deep as mining or even deeper, then you'll definitely have hacking specialists.
Because I'm kind of curious about that because you can see, maybe depending on the difficulty of a mission, that means that the hacking difficulty increases as well. And so, I know they're not, I'm just using this as an example, but like say there's levels 1 through 5, levels of types of traps or whatever the case may be. If you've got somebody who's only done a level 2 and you run into a level 4, are they going to be able to hack, or is that something beyond their ability because they've never done a level 3? So I'm curious when we mention it as a career, whether it will be something that, there are people who really will, like you said, that's their thing. They'll eat it up. They'll do that because they want to build their reputation, for doing hacking.
Well, there's one mechanic that they took out of the game. That I think that'll be perfect for hacking. They could put the golf swing mechanic back in. No, I'm joking. I think it'll be. Chris Roberts want everything to be skill based, like based on the skill of the player. So I can't see him going around it in that respect. I think he'll like there'll be certain tiers for different kinds of hack, and like the more expensive something or the bigger reward something will yield, the harder the hack will be. But I can see that. I can think it'll be. According to Chris Roberts' dream, it will be skill based.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying I get it as skill, but what I'm saying is that if I've never done a level 4 trap, I don't think I should be able to do one. I think it should be because I've done a level 1, 2, and 3. And what I'm saying is that there's some learning curve that goes. Like for example, you're not going to put somebody in Orion if they've and have them run the laser if they never ran a prospector. You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying that is skill based. I'm saying, once you have an understanding of the basics of mining, you can move up to the next one, and I'm wondering if hacking in some weird way will be that same way. So it remains challenging. I guess that's my point. So that all the traps aren't the same, but that they increase in difficulty depending on the difficulty of the mission that you're going after. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
That totally makes sense. If anybody
sense.
plays Cyberpunk, there is you can be a hacker, network hacker, and your skill increases upon the levels of difficulty of hacking as you go along. I could easily see that being implemented in something like Star Citizen, where it would be not as so much of a skill, but what is your reputation at hacking? How good are you at hacking, and your reputation builds upon that.
I think it should be like any other thing. Like if you're a bounty hunter, if you're not good at shooting, you're not going to be a good bounty hunter. If you're not good at thinking, you shouldn't be a good hacker. It should be based on how well you can engage that gray matter, all the puzzle.
Right.
So Scum has an interesting take on bombs. So the better your demolition is, the greater area of effect the explosion is. And the harder I think it is to detect it. Now they have recently come out with metal detectors, so you now can sweep the grounds and figure out if there's a bomb, placed someplace. But I think also your ability to detect that increases as your skill increases. And it was funny because I haven't watched Scum in a long time, but I think it was last night, the night before. I was watching it really quick, and this guy that was doing that, and he had his buddies come behind him, and he was putting out like imaginary posts so they knew where the bombs were. And some guy got close to it because he didn't really understand what was going on, or he didn't hear him correctly, and he exploded and he got killed. And he's like, "What the hell was that?" And it was kind of funny, but I was just like, here's this guy who's skilled with this profession of demolition or demolition removal, and this other person who's like basic, who gets an idea of it but doesn't understand like the whole process. So I think it goes along with this, like, so is a proximity mine, can I increase its size, maybe the length of the beam? Will it have some type of delay to it if I'm able to program it to only explode when it sees 3 people within a zone, or 1, or will an animal set it off, etc.
Okay. You there, Fastcar? Make sure you fall over there. You all right?
No, I'm good.
I shut the stream down. I was that good.
No, his voice was lulling me to no, never mind.
Oh, buddy.
It's my airplane voice. It does that. You think you're 30,000 feet.
Yes, that white noise in the background.
You're picking up the Orion. I just want to say you can't hear her, but Colossal is pushing Gigi out of the Orion behind me. But you just don't notice it because the skin is too small. People who watched last week so Citizen would get that reference.
Yeah, spacing her. Wow.
Yep. All right, so next up we had this week an ISC. ISC is back, everybody, and this one is called Root and Root. So I think I have everything ready. So let's check that out.
For me, when it comes to exploring areas in a game, I tend to prefer when I've earned something.
So when you've had to fight to get past some people to get somewhere, you expect there to be something cool to find, something to make it worthwhile.
There are just some things that you just don't go and buy in a store, things that you have to go out and find. That's, I feel, one of the most important aspects of gaming. I've often found that if there's no tangible reward, whether it's something that you bring away from there or something that you find that maybe leads to something else to discover, that something can be lost in the experience of exploration.
Imagine you go into some dungeon you're excited to explore, and there's NPCs there just kind of standing around, but there's nothing to find. There's crates, but they're empty. There's storage with nothing in it. Not only is it disappointing from a gameplay perspective, you don't get any of the cool loot you were hoping for, but it just doesn't make sense. What were all these people doing there with no food, no supplies, nothing? You want there to be something amazing at the end. So we're working on this new system called Loot Generation.
We have built this system on the foundation of the harvestable system.
which is going to empower our designers to set up locations all across the verse to be filled with dynamically generated loot.
They function using a system we've called loot archetypes, which are on-the-fly generated sets of tags.
So the idea is that a designer can lay out a list of tags that they want items in the loot pool to match, and then maybe some that they don't. So you can say, I want things that are tagged with weapon, but not things that are tagged with ammunition. And then what really makes it powerful is it's not just a uniform distribution of, okay, we have all of these potential items, just pick one at random. When the designers are specifying tags to use, they can assign a weight to each one and say, I want rifles with a weight of 5, and I want pistols with a weight of 10. So you're twice as likely to get a pistol in this crate.
So we have full control over how many items spawn, what specifically spawns. We could even, if we wanted to, and I've actually been doing the tagging for this myself, we could actually tell a loot archetype, hey, spawn me a bunch of armor that's red. Your loot archetype could have the weapon.fps.rifle tag as an example, and that would then give you the option of all of the weapons that spawn underneath that, or that are populated underneath that tag structure. And you may then have armor.fps.heavy, which would give you all of the selection of the heavy armors under that. And then it could be gadget.medkit. So you would then have a loot archetype that says, give me any rifle or any heavy piece of armor or any medkit. It's been a lot of work to get it working that way, but all of it sort of works in conjunction with each other, and with some of the future stuff coming down the pipe as well, such as Quanta. The loot generation system actually will read from the parent object containers that we use in the game at the moment. So, say you're spawning containers on Hurston. Your main object container would be Hurston. And then let's say you've got Lorville, which would be L19. And then inside that, you might have, let's say that we expand the city and there's an abandoned hovel underneath that's maybe occupied by pirates. If Quanta decides, oh, okay, so authorities came, cleared that place out, that place is now no longer a pirate base, it's now storage site for Hurston Dynamics, then all of the containers in that area then might switch to be containing Hurston equipment. Quanta can then determine way up the chain, way at the top, this is how things are now happening because AI has moved in, things have happened, things have changed, and the archetypes and the loot generation system reacts on the fly to that. So if Quanta was to decide this planet has been raided, it's been full of conflict, there's been wars here, people are leaving in droves because it's not safe to be here anymore, the status of that planet, the richness of that planet lowers as well, to the point where then the loot generation system says, okay, where most of these containers might have been 50 to 60% full as they were, now we're only going to fill them up to 20 to 30%. It's all about adapting on the fly to where you're at, what you're doing, and seeing what can be.
So where we're at right now is we've got a pretty solid base for internal testing. We're trying out marking up a few different locations with some containers, mainly filled with weapons and armor at the moment, but we're hoping to expand that to other items in the future.
And we hope that it provides an immersive experience more than anything else, that people can get excited about this sort of thing, that they know that when they go to a planet once, they might go back a few weeks later and it's just completely different.
Loot is an essential part of any MMO, and when it arrives later this year, it'll be one more step towards fulfilling the exploration-based promise of Star Citizen's persistent universe. But up next, we've got a special Oops, It's All VFX edition of the Sprint Report, so let's get to it.
All right, so I'm going to stop right there and get everyone's thought. Just, I got to put this in. It's a brand new system, folks. Loot generation. It's never been done before at any MMO ever. It's brand new. What do you guys think? Kusanagi. Admiral Kusanagi there?
Hey,
I've often found that if there's no...
I think he's having mic trouble.
I'm not having mic trouble. I'm just
there he is.
doing okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, come back to me.
Okay. He's just come back to him, Fast Card.
Oh, come back. Oh, okay, thank you. Dark Knight.
Okay, so I wasn't big at MMOs until recently, until Star Citizen, literally. And Elite Dangerous, kind of semi before that. But the whole idea of loot that I knew of only came from mobile games, and the idea of loot was, oh, you'd log in, you get loot. Loot is, you get all these little special things and la la la. I didn't really understand it from an MMO point of view. And watching this ISC, I got a really good idea of how this loot system works. And their explanation of, you're going to be in a UEE secure system. You're going to find these types of things in these boxes that because you should be able to open all the boxes if you're walking past them unless they're locked. So It's that idea of, if I'm in a pirate system, then I might find this type of thing in a pirate system. Or if this system was all of a sudden controlled by a different faction, that all of a sudden those items might change. And I like that idea. I think it's a really cool thing. And unfortunately, looking at the spreadsheet that they're putting together here, I'm thinking, oh God, that's got to be a nightmare. But I think it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense how this loot generation system works, and I like it. I do.
Face to face.
Hey, I'm gonna try not to be long-winded on this one. Now, coming from playing MMOs and getting loot and all of that stuff. My take on it is, first of all, it's cool. I would love loot. I mean, there's no better reward than going into a raid or a dungeon, exploring somewhere, you find something, you get that rare item, that gold drop or whatever.
Right.
Thing about it in this game that I have, not necessarily an issue, but more of a concern, is because let's say I go into somewhere, let's say, like, for example, hypothetical, I go to a Banu system, right? We go exploring, go into a cave, and we find some rare alien type of technology or gun or something like that. I may want to keep that, don't want to sell it. But now in this game, that loot can be stolen from you. So you have to think about, okay, if this is a gun that I want to keep, I can't go on a mission with this, because guess what? I could potentially be killed, drop it, it's gone.
Well, when are you going to use the gun then?
That's the problem. That's the concern that I have.
That's the risk. That's the risk.
That's the concern that I have. Exactly. So I'm like, do I take this gun and just sit it on my mantle at home in my thing? You see what I'm saying?
Persistence.
Or what I would do, this is me personally, like in other games, I don't risk equipment that I know is at risk of being stolen or lost. Like if I'm just doing PvE content and I know it's safe, well, quote unquote safe. I don't know how it's gonna work in Star Citizen, but then I would use my best gear. But if I'm doing PvP content, I know if I'm not going to PvP area, there's no way I'm gonna risk anything that I want to keep.
Yes,
yeah, Griff, I'm sorry.
I'm going to reference you guys to, I don't remember the episode number, The Mandalorian, when his ship was parked with his super nice rifle and they blew his ship up. Guess what? The rifle gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
So it's not even a matter of carrying it on you. If it's on your ship and your ship gets destroyed. So, I mean, when you say that's a concern, it's just a decision. If the game is decorative and means a memento to you, put it on your wall. If it's a devastating weapon that helps you kill 10 people with one shot, well, you got to make that decision.
I was going to ask that. Do you think that itemized inventory has something to do with this, because it's all itemized?
Yeah.
And so does that have a different feel for loot than you would say in another MMO, which is you just got this big backpack, you just carry anything and everything with you? In this case, you might get gun off of a soldier, but then you got to find a place to put it.
Right. See, I meant concern not as a concern as a problem with the game. I meant the concern as, like you just said, a decision on my part. Because I'm like, man, because this brings a whole new aspect to the game that now I got to think about. Because what if that rifle, that alien tech rifle, man, I could pick you off from a certain distance, or it may it does something, where I'm like, man, okay, because you're not gonna go into a dungeon, get good loot, and then not want to wear it or use it.
Right.
You're natural, right? You're natural. I'm sorry, Cat Fast. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to say maybe you're coming from a single player perspective.
Exactly. Exactly.
Rather than role playing, like you get the best loot, or you're coming from another MMO that had raids and stuff like that, where you get the gear that you want, and it's not at risk of being stolen. So
right,
I can see your concern, but I mean you just have to go and when you pick up something, decide what you're going to do with it.
I think Chris Roberts is also doing something else here, Fist, and bear with me. I don't want to try to speak into his brain, but we have seen that in some ways he's redefining gaming in many ways, right? The whole thing of lives, for example, right? Where you just don't have these infinite lives, or you don't have infinite ammo. The fact that you have to go back to reload, or you have to go back and buy missiles. But then I'm thinking about the item you're talking about, right? The other fact is that hopefully, unless you just have that unique situation where you're by yourself, when you died, you say, Griff, grab my Martian A27 out of my bag before y'all get out of there.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's the other dynamic too. You have other players there to help support you that hopefully can loot your body, grab what needs to be grabbed, right? Because you're going to be respawning someplace else, or whatever the case may be, unless we revive you, right? I mean, there's still the option of you being revived, but see that becomes another risk if you're playing without other players, right? The reward may be great if you go in by yourself and you can kind of claim everything, but you also take the risk of saying, I have no support with me, and maybe it's worth taking support, and maybe it's worth splitting. Because if something happens to me, I got my gang here with me, to either revive me or to recover whatever I've lost, right? And that way there's your little bit of insurance you have. But to your point, it is a challenge. It is a decision. A lot of us are going to be making that decision. Some of us don't like to carry the stuff that we got from subscribers right now because we don't want to lose it. Let alone something special we find, right?
That's a good point. Exactly, because you walking around with that gold gun, I guess you get from
right.
Shoot, that's it. You done.
Right.
That's going. I
forgot. I had a joke, but I forgot what he was going to say.
Go Mab. Say what he was going to say. Go Mab.
Well, two things, right? If it means that much to you, get two of them, right? If you got it one time, go get another one. Yep. Put it in your hab. Put one in your hab and go.
It may be a red dot. Maybe a unique thing.
That's what I'm saying. It might be a unique thing. That's what I said in the beginning of the scenario. Is you go into that cave.
Look, I'm a channel my inner toxic PvPer. Don't look. Get good. You ain't gotta worry about it. Look, nobody should buy a nice new car for it to just sit there. Nobody should buy, nice new shoes for them to sit in their closet for them to look at. You get something, and
shoes.
Well, Fast Car, your shoes stay clean all the time anyway. But no, if you get something that's going to help you be better at the game, then use it. Just be careful. I mean, you're not going to walk through the bad parts of town by yourself with a gold chain hanging out your neck. You know what I'm saying? Because you might get that snatched, right? So, I wouldn't take. I wouldn't. Take my most fancy, most powerful weapons on a solo mission that is a high probability that I might not make it back in one piece.
Yeah.
Just make those choices.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm just saying it's just one of those things that's on top of, that in the game.
Treat it this way.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Fast Car.
I remember what I wanted to say. It's like if I'm in a situation where I'm expected to lose something that I want to keep, you have permission to drag my whole body because I don't want to lose anything. Okay, just drag my whole body until my clone come back and pick it back up. What are you gonna say, Griff?
No, I was just going to say, I was kind of thinking about, again, another reference to Clone Wars. I was thinking about, you can have a lightsaber or you can have the dark saber, right? And if it's me, the dark saber, I might put that on the wall for a little while. I might only break it out for special occasions. You know what I mean? Otherwise, lightsabers will do the job well enough. And again, is it a unique item? Is it an item that there are more than one of? Is it so unique that it's extremely difficult? And if you lose it, guess what? The challenge is there to go get another one. That's another option. Right? Doesn't mean that it's the only item. It's never more. So I mean, again, I think this goes into the whole idea of us looking at playing differently. Because you're right. In most cases, once you get something that's yours, you don't lose it in your inventory. We're here. Someone else gets the spoil of your hard work, like Indiana Jones with remember the little idol? He did all that jumping, ran through the boulder, and old boy's waiting outside and say, right here.
Because exactly, and that's exactly the point that I'm making too. Because one of the things that I see in this game is like where the scenario is, if once somebody finds something rare in a spot, and they gonna broadcast it, right? Hey, listen, I found this item. Itemized it.
Who's broadcasting?
Hold on for a second. Let's hear me out. Here's the scenario. I'm just saying, because people like to brag.
And they need to get ripped off. And they need to get ripped off.
And that's what I'm saying. People like to brag. I'm not saying that's me. I'm just saying I've seen that in other MMOs.
Put yourself out there, right?
Right. So people like to brag. Hey, look, I found such and such this item. Put it in chat.
Star Citizen had an achievement broadcaster, like every time someone gets something rare, it comes up at the top of the screen. That would be a nightmare.
And you're right, and that's what I'm saying. So like now you have a scenario, okay, where that person says, well, I found it over here, ha 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 ha, I got it over here. So now everybody jumps over there. What's going to happen is, all right, if I'm a pirate, I'm going to sit right outside. Okay, you go in there and go get that. And just like you said, the scenario, soon as you come out, 2 to the head, now I'm taking what you got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What if it could be something like the loot would be, say, there's only a certain type of Vandal gun that you can get in a certain location from, this certain faction of Vandal. You cannot buy it in the store, and that's the only place you can get it. So you have to go there and actually fight whoever's there in order to get this particular weapon from, is that what you're kind of saying, right?
I feel like they alluded to that a little bit in the video when they talked about the uniqueness of locations and finding certain things in certain places and not other places. So to your point, I think you're on the mark, Dark Knight, that there's going to be, obviously you're not going to find a Vandal item, I mean, you may. The odds, I'm not saying that you can't, but if you want to find a Vandal item, you're going to go to where the Vandal are, right? If you want one of those staves that they use to fight with, I forget what the name of it is. It may be extremely rare. Maybe you can only get it if you kill a Vandal, right? There's a lot of things that they could implement in the sense of keeping things very unique and also force us to spread out. You know what I mean? In the galaxy as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't want to have that one-stop shop unless you're maybe a merchantman, right? The person who has a merchantman might have that unique item, but we'll see. There's a lot of options that they have.
Yep. So Jade, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are this system will really shine when it's tied in with content. And I feel like it's almost like the framework for salvage in a way.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Big time.
Can you imagine the database that's going to be needed for all these content? It's going to be 1 to 10, and there's going to be so many of us, and 9 or 10 times that of NPCs. That's going to be a lot of database usage.
Well, there's a lot of database in the sense of just general inventory, right? I mean, because we're only, 1% out of 10 or 1% out of 9, whatever the case may be. 1 out of 9, 1 out of 10. But they've got to create ships for races, inventory for races, locations for races. I mean, there's a lot of, the inventory list has got to be incredible. So when you start talking about looting, whether you're finding a Xi'an item or a Cathark item or a Vandal item, I'm sure they were going to, we've seen the variety of things that they've introduced into the game just for something as simple as homesteading. So imagine how many their artists, how many items and things that they've worked on, and how many of those things will probably be lootable in some form.
So Griff, do you think they're gonna have a like some type of tracker? Like say you kill me and you steal my ship, but I put like a 24 or 48 hour tracker on there before I did my mission. Do you think they'll have something like that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, Admiral. I mean, there's always possibilities for everything. I know there's definitely going to be a bounty on you for sure. I know that. But I don't know. That's a really, really good question because I don't remember. Does anybody remember what the rules are? Like if you steal a ship and you're in UEE space, there was something that they talked about how you be identified with you being like having stolen a ship. Does anybody remember?
Don't recall.
Yeah, they talked about the lawful owner and
Mhm.
it being associated with a transponder. And so if he steals the ship, then people would know that's not the lawful owner somehow.
Okay.
But that was a while ago when they talked about it.
Right. Was there like a
Yeah.
chop shop too, Jay? Like where you could hack it or something, or was
Yeah,
it? Am I dreaming? Was it?
they talked about
Yeah.
like chop shops, and then we kind of sort of have those kind of locations in the game now, but you
Mhm.
know, we don't really use them for that.
Like Black Intellect says, like a LoJack, but like, similar to what I just mentioned and what he's talking about is like Attack of the Clones.
Mhm.
Obi-Wan throws that tracking
The
device
tracking
on,
device. Mhm.
on
Okay.
Slave One,
Yeah.
and you're able to track the
It's
ship.
no longer called Slave One. It's called Boba Fett or Jango Fett's ship. They changed it. That's a legit thing. It's no
The
longer
toy
called
company
Slave One.
changed it. It's
Don't just go down that road. Anyway.
Go, man.
No, but Pops, what are your thoughts?
I hope that they tie it in somehow with crafting and questing. If there's a rare armor, not necessarily you find a chest piece, but maybe you need to go out and find the material, and then you have to take it to someone to craft this gun or this particular piece of armor, according to how rare it is. They do something a little bit more in-depth.
MMO Fire is what you're talking about, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that if they go a little bit in depth, kind of tied in the questing and crafting, and it has to make sense. I don't want to, I don't think they won't have it make sense, but I don't want to find a gun on a whale. Maybe the material.
We don't know what's in that whale that's on Orison, though. You never know.
Maybe you need a barnacle off of a whale or something as part of a material to take it to the crafting people, and piece of banu, something from the banu, or something like that.
To your point, Pop, I hope that the crafting people are not NPCs. I hope they make them people. You have to go to the first
too.
you have to go to.
Yeah, and maybe a combination of both. People that can craft certain things and NPCs that can craft certain things, and kind of it may take you a couple of years or something to find all the pieces. Maybe there's, like I said, they're spread out. Might be in Banu. A whale may have part of it. And something really rare.
So before we move on to the second part, I just wanted to get to this part of the ISC, talking about carrying the crate and stuff. It's like office cleanup day where you get fired and you have to make that long walk of shame. Did anyone else get that vibe? No, just me. But
I see money right there.
Anyone had thoughts about this aspect of the show?
I know they mentioned that this was just a concept, that it's not necessarily what it's going to look like. I am curious to see, not just for those items there, like he had full of weapons and he was bringing them to a weapon shop, but we've talked about the idea of inventory in general, how you can carry inventory, whether it's carrying medical supplies or food or whatever it is, what the ability will be. Will it be based on weight, for example? You can only put so much in the box, right? I'm just kind of curious to see how they're going to do that whole mechanic. Or will it be a situation where this is where the cart comes into play? You can put as many of those boxes on the cart and push a cart in. I'm just curious to see how they're going to balance out this whole inventory thing with looting and turning in stuff. Obviously, going to stores and turning in stuff's not a big deal. That's fairly easy. But I am curious about how do you get the stuff moved around when you have limited body inventory, you know.
Tractor beam. You can lift more than you would willingly be able to lift with a tractor beam.
Yeah. Put it in a crate like the what was it? The Han Solo sleeping bed. You know, they had the little tractor thing carrying and moving it around. You can move crates and stuff that way.
No.
Remember when he was in Bespin City and they were bringing him out when he was in Carbonite?
Oh, the Carbonite.
Yeah. Yep. He was levitating.
No, seeing it from this perspective, I can see how Elite Dangerous players are impressed by this aspect. Because I mean, there aren't a lot of games who do this, especially like I played other MMOs. You don't get this kind of in-depth feel to being close to real life, just carrying stuff like that.
Yeah.
My question, though, Fastcart, is do you think there's a hunger for that? I mean, we're all sort of in a Star Citizen bubble where we like everything to be physicalized. There's people that want to load their own ship with carts with cargo containers on them. But do you think when this releases to a greater audience that that's going to be an attraction or the opposite?
I think, to me personally, I think it'll be both. Some people will say, "Oh, this is amazing. I can see why it took so long." Other people will say, "This is what they've been working on. They could have done without this." So it depends. I think more people will be pleased and impressed than not. But there will be that segment who won't be.
I think, if I can say something,
Go ahead.
when we came into Star Citizen, we talked to Dark Knight one day, and Dark Knight was explaining to us that walking around in your ship was a big deal. We thought it was normal.
Absolutely.
So there will be some that don't even recognize a lot of the tech and things that we are so used to.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Pops, because there was a huge conversation on Kai's show on Elite Week, and the subject came up about them being able to walk on their ships. And there were some people who wanted the experience of the Millennium Falcon thing, running up the ramp, running to the cockpit, right? Then there were some people who said that'll feel good maybe the first 2 or 3 times you do it, but after that it will get boring. And I asked myself, do I ever get bored boarding my ship, even now? And I never do.
No.
Even now, I don't. And it was interesting. I mean, I get that people might think that, but even when it takes me forever to get on an 890, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that's a ship that has a very long walk to its cockpit. I never sit there and say, "Oh man, I wish this entrance was in the front of the ship." I don't. I don't get tired of making that walk.
As an Elite Dangerous commander and flying around in my ship, you are your ship in that game, and you have a relationship with that ship. If I could walk around my crate Mark II in Elite Dangerous and go back and touch the coffee maker that's sitting back there waiting for me to look at it, or the little model of the old crate from Elite in 1984, it's the old model of the crate. If I could walk back there and just look around, that would just be the most awesome thing. I could do that all day long. I do that now. Walking around my MSR or 600i.
Right.
I could sit there and do that all day. In Quantum, walk around. I've seen that kitchen I don't know how many times. I don't care. I love it.
Yeah. I just want to add this too, if I can. As long as CIG keeps coming up with different ways to get in your ship, that's really interesting, because just like when you get into Talon, you go to the front of the ship and it kind of, it comes down and it kind of sucks you into the front. Also with the new ship, the Rylan, the way that one has that platform that maybe as long as we stay away from Gomab's beam me up kind of a thing. But that still could be interesting too, if there's they came up with a good fun way to teleport you into certain ships. So I think the whole aspect of doing it is, as long as they keep it interesting, the community will
be happy even just getting in ships and walking up around.
If
Make
they
sure you have
introduce
to do stuff on
teleportation,
the
they have
ship.
to have a blue circle.
Gonna say something like that too,
Yeah.
Jade.
Sorry, I
I was
beat you
gonna
to it.
Hey, it's there, right?
But to
That's
go back to your oh, and I'm sorry, I was going to go back to saying to DK's point about his coffee maker. Wait till that stuff starts to become useful in the game.
Use my
you
coffee
know,
maker in my 315.
you know, and
The cup's not
then
there.
I'm talking about like the stove or
Yeah.
you know, the components. Now you've got to go and change them out and stuff like that. You know,
Hey, you
Can you
think about
imagine?
the Kelto store at Orison that you can walk in, you can buy water and drinks
Mhm.
from the the stands that they have against the wall, or you can, I could see that being in the ship easily, like a Phoenix or a 600 or an
Right.
890 in a bar. And you can open the door and grab your water or drinks or whatever from there. I think that'd be awesome.
Can you imagine if cooking actually became a profession in Star Citizen? Like people,
It-
like,
it- it's going to. I guarantee you, it's coming.
Oh, really?
It's coming.
There
It's
it is.
coming.
Okay.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, you
The
got to
chef.
think about it. If you
Chef of the
if you want to
future.
become a cook on the Javelin, you got to work a 12-hour shift.
no.
You already,
He
you already assigned 12-hour shifts. Oh my God.
No, because the reason why I said that is because if you listen to the gentleman when they had the Javelin tour, he said that ship is running 24 hours, and they say they have cooks running on 12-hour shifts.
That means you got an NPC.
Thank
running
you.
on 12-hour shift.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Thank you.
I'm gonna wake this chef up to have him make me a PB&J.
All right, so
Hey,
let's continue on with
Fist, you gonna be my chef on my Javelin.
Ain't
I'm
Ain't happening.
Hey, bro,
That's
it's
what
time
I
to eat,
said.
man. I need you to log into the game and make some
Nope,
food in the
ain't
galley.
happening.
Let's go.
Ain't happening.
Now you pay somebody well enough. Some of you all have been playing New World over the last week, and
okay.
you see that there are some people who all they do is crafting. That's all they're doing. They're not doing the battles. They're not doing the fights. They're producing stuff for their teammates and stuff, or to sell. There's
Is it in
always going to
beta,
be
or
that
is it,
person.
like,
It's in
open
beta.
beta?
It's an open beta right now. Well, it's in
Open
beta.
beta,
It's
okay.
in beta right now. It's a closed beta right now. It's a closed beta. But my point is that there are going to be those people who, as long as they're being paid well and compensated, they'll do those jobs.
MMO players will be
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, that's true. But my question is, there will be no silver wipes, because that was like the people aren't doing that for nothing. That's what I was asking.
Oh, yes, they are. Yeah, they are doing it for nothing because the game's going to release August. Is it 22nd? August 31st. 31st. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least
But
they have
I
the
mean,
recipes.
Yeah,
at least they'll have the recipes and everything.
Nope. It's gonna be a wipe probably.
Yeah, it's in beta.
I mean,
That's gonna be
It's in beta
from space. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in beta. But
You
they
can start
don't
over
care about that. They don't care. Everybody's very much aware that they're going to get wiped. They're trying to learn the mechanics and figure it out
Yeah,
so
that's what
that
I
when
meant.
it does come out,
That's what
they'll
I
be
meant.
on point. Yeah, but they're not going to retain anything. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's finish up this time and talk to this one.
When it arrives later this year, it'll be one more step towards fulfilling the exploration-based promise of Star Citizen's persistent universe. But up next, we've got a special Oops, It's All VFX edition of the Sprint Report, so let's get to it. To start things off this week, if you remember from our last Sprint Report, we showed how the team had been working on an update to the thruster dust system that converts the existing particles from a radial effect to a directional one that's actually based on the thruster direction to any surface normal it may be hitting at any given moment. Now this causes the effect to change not only by the raycast angle being perpendicular or parallel to the surface, but also the strength of the thruster output, the type of surface itself, and the force of the surrounding wind volume. And you can see here how that tech has progressed in the weeks since we showed it. Now, while this update showcases the progress made since then and still has a little ways to go, folks are already thinking about the myriad of tactical uses this feature might have in things like the upcoming Jumptown 2, over bodies of water like rivers and oceans, and even against the soft body objects like those seen in the upcoming colonialism outposts. Alpha 314
Ship is
sees
that?
the initial implementation of Orison,
The mall.
but the work
the
doesn't
mall.
stop there.
Oh,
And
that's
coming
right.
up in a subsequent patch, the VFX team is currently working on tech that uses vector fields around the player character's feet to disturb the various piles of cherry blossom leaves that tend to accumulate around the commercial and residential areas. Now, while the first implementation of this tech will be Orison, the team is already looking ahead to utilizing it in other areas, including on vehicles. So let your imaginations run wild with that one. Alright, not that wild. And while we're talking leaves, the team recently completed a sprint adding rotation effects to GPU screen space colliding particles, utilizing the velocity of an object to determine the amount and size of turn applied to leaves, making for a much more organic looking effect as they blow over the edge of a surface and fall to wherever down below. And we're pleased to report that this feature was working so nicely, it actually just went into PTU builds last week for Alpha 314.
Those are the little updates.
Currently
they
in the
never tell you
persistent
about.
universe, weapon impacts on ships occur in what's called the ship zone, which causes the impact effects like sparks and such to stick to the ship, meaning it essentially gets carried along with it as it moves forward, which looks unnatural. But in a recent sprint, this was remedied so that now the effects trail behind as the ship moves away from the original point of impact, much as one would expect them to. Now, it's a little thing, but at the core of building an immersive universe are hundreds and hundreds of little things adding up to a universe that functions or behaves in believable and expected ways. And here's a second look at the same system in Atmo, where you can see the sparks fly up into the air against gravity in the old system, and now falling down to the surface as you'd expect them to in the new. The VFX team is also exploring several different destruction mosaics for the space station orbiting above and the Crossroads of Crime map for Theaters of War. Since these destructions being explored are simulation-based in the Houdini software, these mosaics utilizing various factors of stiffness and damping ratio allow for a degree of art direction not normally available. Plus, it just kind of looks cool to see all the different ways the thing can explode, you know? Also always cool, lightning. Now previously, lightning across our games suffered from a number of different maladies, including poor performance and poor scaling effects. But due to recent R&D by the team and the use of instanced scale multipliers and ribbons, the team has not only found a way to author these same effects at a wide range of scales, but the use of ribbons reduces the need for high particle counts in the runtime GPU particle system. What's that mean? It means more developers can use more lightning in more areas without destroying their performance budget. And that's especially good news for the upcoming Pyro system and the visual revamp to the Dying Star map in Arena Commander that's currently underway. And wrapping up our look at VFX this week, the team has returned from a brief hiatus away from fire propagation to create their version of a concept. A cinematic look dev, if you will, at the goals for fire propagation, utilizing the tech features and progress already in hand. What you see here is a basic electrical fire in a relatively high-tech environment, exploring the type of propagation effects the team are currently pursuing. Now, as a test exclusively for how the fire moves and spreads throughout the ship, there are still a number of limiting visual factors here, like the still outstanding shader work that will one day make the fire feel even more alive than it already does. As the fire moves across the white surface that is flammable, you can see it dripping down to ignite the same surface below, while interacting with the black, glass-like surface on the ceiling that is understandably resistant. Combined with the heat and noxious gases affecting players via the actor status system, it's an exciting look ahead at some of the new dangers and hazards players will encounter and have to deal with on a regular basis as Star Citizen's development continues. But before we let you go, let's jump ahead and see what happens when you ignore the fire and let it go about its business for about half an hour. So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that while it's fine to go into a store and buy something from the vendor, there's still something about discovering the item while adventuring that can make it just a little more special. That the work on Orison doesn't end with Alpha 314, and that we'll be seeing more of what's coming as this quarter progresses. And just when I think I'm out, those advances to fire propagation pull me back in. Now remember, this quarter we're on the road to Digital CitizenCon, where all kinds of panels and content await for hours full of Star Citizen goodness. That's October 9th, so mark your calendars. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.
Alrighty then. They burned that Orison ship up real good, though. That's
Come on now.
Yeah, they took the best ship there was to burn it up to make sure that it works right, instead of that piece of crap, any other manufacturer. That's why they used it.
Great.
They know what they're
it just
doing.
burns well. That's what.
No, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. See, we have instead of just having steel, we have woods, we have materials, all types of stuff. So they're just making sure that the burn stuff works well.
You know, my first thought, Griff, when I saw this was 600 I rework.
Absolutely.
Maybe we're seeing some glimpses.
Absolutely.
I didn't notice that, but that's a good catch.
Well, what they said there was that some material was actually would burn and some wouldn't. So it's actually, from what they showed you was, yes, after half an hour, this is the whole area that burned. But
yep,
that's a small area, so that thing is really good against fires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind too. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, that Chris has made it clear that to destroy a ship, it's going to take a lot. They want ships to be damaged. They want ships to be, to the point where they can't move. But to destroy one is going to take a lot in game. And so something as simple as what we saw there, I know we can go back to the earlier stuff before we get into thinking about fire, but I just think that's a sign of showing after 30 minutes, they could still show that there was evidence of the ship still being there. Yeah.
But that's the beginning of it. Then right here, that's the 30-minute part. No. This is the 30-minute part.
I gotta admit, that fire, just the spread of the fire and the way it's dripping from the ceiling and things like that.
Very cool.
Absolutely awesome.
This game's gonna be a Power Maniac dream.
Hey, no doubt.
Yeah, they're taking it to a whole nother level. When they talked about fire earlier, and they talked about even the fire responding to different types of materials. The whole aspect of whether or not you can create a vacuum to extinguish it or use an extinguisher. There's a lot of cool stuff that they've got in here. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. So what did you guys think? Admiral, what stuck out to you out of the things we saw here? We saw the dust off thing. We saw fire. We saw lightning. What stuck out to you?
I got to choose, seriously?
Well, we can't talk about all of them. We'll be here all night.
We'll start here. I don't think people are going to talk about this. I'll go with this one. Okay, so I love the flowers.
I got 4 hours. We can do this.
I'll just say this. I get the flowers, and that looked amazing. I will say, regarding this here, regarding the multi-vector stuff or whatever, I want to, when a ship goes over like a surface of water, I want whoever's on the ground to get sprayed by water. Because that would be amazing.
I like that.
Yeah, this and the flower petals. It was like, oh my god, everything in this whole show is great.
To your point, Admiral, sometimes we see things happen in game and we sometimes think it's very minimal or it's not that important, but most of these things are building blocks for other things. And I'm thinking about in particular when carts came out, right? When carts came out, people were like, oh, what's this big deal about carts? Who cares about carts? But now we see how not only as we move from carts, but we're moving to the medical beds, we're moving to the wheelchairs, there are other things now that was just the first iteration of it. And so something as simple as that running through the leaves, well, now that same technology can be created for when you're walking through water and seeing the water move. There's a lot of other things that can come out of that. It's not just always about, just the leaves only, but the VFX stuff can go into other areas, which I think that is always kind of cool to see how it expands into other parts of the game.
I've been out in the 70s, since the 70s, so cart's been out for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Dark Knight, what you thought?
No.
I just want to tell Black Into like that. I sometimes like to park my car in the yard.
Oh, great. No, I was just gonna add to that the the effects that they've been coming up with for things like the leaves and the fire and the thrusters against the surface of a moon or a planet. I think that's just that level of immersion that a lot of people don't really, some people really don't pay attention to, but for somebody like me, I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, they really put this much effort into making fire or leaves or something move around me as I'm moving through the area and creating that kind of physics escape of actually being there physically. But I think that was just a cool thing. Even like the explosions as we see here of the space stations in the different levels and various ways they could do it, I think was just really cool based on what they are capable of when it comes to physics generation and persistent items and things like that. I thought it was just really cool. Lightning looks awesome. I can't wait to see that one in game.
And to Jay's point, for every people like Dark Knight who loved the effort and work that they put into it, every other people would be like, why are they spending all that time doing that little thing?
That's true.
Man.
No, he's not even here.
No, I'm just messing.
So, go ahead, Fist.
Hey now.
He is here.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
No, go ahead, Fitz. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, I enjoy running through the cherry blossom.
Matt Style, thank you for the gift. I think you gave us 5.
Wow.
Yes, you did. Thank you, Matt Style, for those.
Matt Style to change his name too. He unlimited.
Unlimited, yeah.
Thank you, Matt Style, as always.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Fist.
No, I enjoyed it. I mean, the fire looks amazing, like you guys were speaking about. Just looking at how the way the walls start to char, like a real fire, and the physics and everything as to the lightning effects. And like they talked about how the way that hopefully it won't be as taxing on your GPU and stuff like that.
It's gonna be like New World. It's gonna melt your GPU again, just like it's melting in that Orison chip.
Yeah, I mean, but you really don't realize. I mean, like I'm just saying from my perspective, like when they talked about the lightning, they talked about how they were able to. It sounds like they were able to optimize the particle effects of it, and everything. And like, man, that stuff is really cool because be able to keep the fidelity of it as well, so you get that immersion in the game and you don't lose
You
that
guys
quality.
are using all the drinking words today. Immersion, fidelity? Come on now. You gotta give someone alcohol poisoning.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, Phil.
But no, I mean it's all of these little things you don't realize like they say the little things matter. Like we talked about earlier about walking on your ship, go get some coffee, turn on the stove. I mean, yeah, you could do that in your house now, but I mean, you would think those things are so insignificant, but in the game, it's like it becomes like mind blowing. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
You think they'll have like faucets? If you turn a faucet on, there's a hot.
It's
and
possible.
It starts steaming.
It's possible.
Can you imagine a faucet in GOG though? That's gotta be trouble.
To your point, Fist, we were talking about the videos that we were watching of some of the people from Elite who've been playing Star Citizen over the past few weeks. And, we were talking about how there are a lot of things that we take for granted, the things that we've been used to. I think Fastcard even alluded to the fact of just something as simple as carrying a box. They're fascinated with that. They're totally amazed at the fact that they have that much freedom in the game. And we've gotten used to walking up a ramp and, walking to our cockpit and sitting down. And so, I'm always constantly reminded that a lot of the stuff that we've been used to a lot of it is still groundbreaking in gaming, in gaming technology. We may see elements of certain things in other games, but when we see all this stuff being kind of weaved together, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, when I went to Orison, and the first time I went, it was nighttime. and I walked outside of Green Circle and went outside and walked through the cherry blossom leaves. I was blown away. I mean, I thought it looked good. I mean, I'm looking at them now, taking that's technology to the next level now. But I was just like, wow, look at this. This is incredible. You know, and so, you know, and then guess what? 6 months from now, it won't mean anything to me. You know, I mean, I'll still be fascinated, but you know, you just kind of forget that those basic little things, such as carrying a box,
Right.
how big that was, you know, the first time you did it, you know, and so.
And see, from a movie makers, like now that we're starting to do like videos in this game, like you realize having those effects and things like that make your videos too.
Yeah.
Star Citizen really sets a platform for machinima in just the way that these fidelity, again, the big word fidelity.
You can't, what other video game can you really do that in?
Right.
The closest thing I've seen, and you know, you and I were joking around about this the other day, Fist, was the guy who did the stuff in GTA 5, right? You know,
right.
But even then, that's still not a comparison. It's still
not
different.
There isn't a compare, right? Because you know, I mean, not to go too long, I know you got other folks, but it's just that, you know, like you say, you know, those cherry blossoms blowing, you know, I can see a scene right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All you needed some samurai armor or some kind of,
you know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about 600i fire and opening the ship to vent it because, you know, without the oxygen, right, room system should take care of that, right? Like, I don't want to see them do something that's against physics just so that you have to send somebody to fight the fire.
Yeah.
Because then that defeats the whole purpose of having it in the first place.
Right.
Like, then there's no fidelity because, you know, you should be able to put out the fire. And
and
imagine, I just want to say, like, imagine, like, you know, you're sitting on a bench and you see these leaves go, and it's like it looks really nice and it's very peaceful. Then imagine like another setting where you're in combat, and you have all the environment moving around you in such a way, and it's just like you're like, oh my god, like, and then if you die, and then you see yourself just like kind of with the leaves kind of like falling across your body. This game is just going to be ridiculous.
Were you going to say go, Matt?
True.
Well, I mean, I feel like I have to. I mean, I know everybody is really impressed with everything, right? And I am too. And I've come a long way because at first, you know, things like this would induce somewhat of an eye roll from me, right?
We're putting you in rehab. The rehab is working on you, brother. We're working on you.
It's great. It's beautiful, right? This is wonderful dressing, right?
Right.
You know, so just to offer the other side, I just, you know, I struggle to see where or how this, you know, will help drive the gameplay. Yes, it will make it more immersive, and it will bring in the more fidelity. Just, you know, I just want Fast Card to keep drinking over there because I want to see what's happening.
I'm not picking it up right now, buddy. I'm picking it up right now. Go ahead.
But at the same time, you know, I know there's a lot of us out there that says, yes, okay, we know there's different teams working on different things, but damn, like, this is really, really nice. It'd be great if you didn't, like, you know, see it and then like go to a 30K 10 seconds later, right? You know, or if you know, me personally, my whole everything in me is just waiting on that, you know, leg day, as I like to call it, right? Where the back end systems can,
the stability is there.
Yeah, or just the back end systems, right?
Right.
You know, we spent a lot of time at the beginning of the show talking about how great the NPCs actually are, how they're like actually functioning. You know, a little bit better, right? They're definitely still not where we would think they should be. So I don't know. I think, you know, my brain is kind of fighting with itself right now because it's like, wow, that's really nice. And then my other side is like, seriously, dude, like, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
want that,
No,
you
no,
want
I
that
think
bodybuilder to go to leg day.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think to be honest with you, I'm glad that you say it that way because we need both sides of it. You
I
know
was
what I
going to
mean?
say
You know,
that.
Right.
I can get very carried away with I mentioned this the other day when I was on Paul's show that I went to Orison and sat down on the lounge and just watched the sunset and stuff, right? I mean, that's great, right? But yeah, there's still a whole lot of the game. That's only just one portion of the game. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the game to stagnate and just be about visuals or being able to hear the wind blow in my ear. But that social dynamic, the combat, all the other things that come along with it, I want to see happen. And I know a lot of times, and I know you know this as a developer, working in the industry, that there are certain aspects of development that are much easier to do and they churn out faster. You know, it's just easier for them to do, right? The artists and things like that. But then there's that back end side, and this hurdle that they're at right now. And I know we always feel like we're at this. It's not a Jesus patch thing, but there is a hurdle now that is critical to CIG fixing it. It's not just about game mechanics and playability or even the back end. It's about they can't go any further until they get past this server meshing piece. You know, they've done a lot of stuff, and I'm not saying they can't go further. I mean, there are other things they can put in the game, but that real hurdle to bring about stability, back end, and everything else is still this server meshing piece. They've got to be able to increase player counts on servers, right? Because if they give us Pyro, but there's still only 50 people in the game, we're going to see even less people. If they can't get AI working properly with the ticks, then it doesn't make a difference that we've got 9-to-1 ratio of NPCs if they're not functioning. So
Well, let me give you an example of something that I would imagine at least some of the same teams will be working on that me personally, from the outside looking in as an untrained non-game developer, right? The star map, it is absolutely garbage. It's trash.
The one in game.
The one in game.
Okay, I was gonna say.
The in-game star map, right? You know, even if you kept navigation the exact same, but made it look and just function a little bit better and be more consistent, I believe that to me would be like, oh wow, okay, y'all did something, right? You know, seeing this lightning and stuff, that's cool, right? Yeah, you took the rock and you chiseled it into a circle. Now it's a wheel. Fantastic, congratulations. But I don't know. You know, they've done beautiful, amazing things, right? Other games have had really good fire, and that was dynamic and impacted the environment, you know, dynamically. Other games have had fantastic lightning. Other games have had wonderful water. Other games have had ground fauna that was impacted by the footsteps of the people that were walking through it, right? They're retreading a lot of this stuff, doing it better and doing it differently, which I am fine with. But you know, the stuff that is truly new and unique to the game is what I would like to see them perfect and make better.
Can I answer
That's
that?
Good point. No, it's a good point. Yeah, sure.
I totally agree with you, Go Man, and I think this is where we get to a point of people saying that it's a tech demo. In essence, what we're seeing on the screen right now with the fire is kind of a tech demo, but I think it's what was needed in the industry to push forward. And I think this is where that fidelity comes out, and we're wanting to see these kind of dynamic events happening, you know, within an environment where, you know, we could easily put out, say, another Call of Duty. We could easily pull out another World of Warcraft, or, you know, whatever game is pertinent today, maybe you know, Cyberpunk or whatever. We could easily put that out right now, and CIG could easily put that out right now. But I think they're trying to push the envelope, but at the same time, yes, the gameplay does need to be associated with it. And I think we're in this point of development where it is, we need to get these assets out in order to get the gameplay developed, but then we have a crowd of people that want the gameplay developed before we push the assets out. see what I'm saying? It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like the software is done, I want to put it in, but at the same time, it's, if I put it in, I still got to work on fixing it. You know what I'm saying?
Let me jump in something real quick here. GoMap, I don't know if you got a chance to see this. This is the first time I think I've seen this at this. Well, maybe they did do it before, but I don't remember. The post-mortem that they just did, I don't know if you got a chance to look at it. They did something that I don't think maybe correct me guys if I'm wrong and I missed this before. Please tell me. Maybe I just don't remember. But what they did was they said, this is what we did and how we did it well. Then they said, this is how we missed the mark. This is the thing that we wanted to do that didn't happen. And then they said, this is now what we learned from it and now how we want to move forward.
They've had post-mortem before. I think they always do post-mortem.
I know they've done post-mortems before, but I don't remember that breakdown like that. I guess maybe that's what I don't remember fast card. Maybe they did. But my point is, I wish that, to GoMap's point, I almost wish there was like a survey that the players could say, what would you like to see us work on that's in game currently now? Like you gave the example of the star map, right? Maybe you say, I want the star map to be accurate when I can lock onto things. It doesn't tell me I can't jump. I want it to work the way it's supposed to. I want it to reflect even the star map that we get on the website, and then they would respond back and say, okay, well, here's the priority list of that. Or they may say, the reason why we haven't done it is because of blah, 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 blah. Because I think that's part of the issue too. There are some things that I think, why haven't they fixed this yet? This should be done by now. Like the star map's a good classic example. They did a slight enhancement on this last update. It's crisper and cleaner. And now the Aaron's belt, it sits right in it now. But the fidelity of it, go ahead and have a drink, Fast Cart, is not where, we would want it to be. And I'm wondering too, why is it that way? Why is it when we bring that star map up and we look at it on our cockpit, it's still funky, and maybe there is a reason. Maybe all that's tied in and that's why they haven't. I don't know. But I wish that we could ask those questions, and I think it would kind of help us a little bit to have a better understanding of where it is. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
So, I mean, just to expand just slightly, right? I would be like, well, first of all of this stuff is just things that they are working on and they're showing their progress of. This isn't stuff that is coming in this patch, right? There's no location that has lightning storms in Stanton. I don't know. There may be some in Pyro and Nixon and coming systems. But right now there aren't any locations currently.
Clouds, and Jupiter has huge lightning storms. So should Crusader.
Well, I mean, but they haven't said that that's going to be an element of Crusader, right? Maybe it will, right?
Better
we know
to have
that
it, not need it, than to need it and not have it.
Right. We know that fire and firefighting is going to be something that you're going to be able to do in your ships. But that's not something that is even like around the corner, right? As far as saying, hey, look, this is going to be an element of the gameplay of being able to fight fires in your ships. I know it's on the roadmap, but it's not,
it may not be on the roadmap.
Imagine somebody walking through there without armor. Now they get burned on a 600i with their method.
But has that been said it's imminent, or is that said that there's something that they are looking at implementing?
Wait. Let me just say that a lot of this stuff is also needed for Squadron 42, so it may not be quality for the MMO portion of Star Citizen, but it's probably something maybe not something necessary for a crucial plot point for Squadron 42, and that's why they're pushing it.
And that leads perfectly into my next point: is that if it's needed for Squadron 42, and even if it's just needed for in the game, then why not? So I get the desire to make it completely dynamic and have it make it the fire as a living, breathing organism, and the lightning being completely random and unique and snowflake-ish every time, right? But you don't need to do that. At least not in this pass. You could have really good looking static levels of fire, based upon the level of damage.
And they just have to waste time remaking it. So why not make it right the first time? Then they don't have to remake it.
I was
And
going
then
to say,
it doesn't take
I think
forever.
that's the pattern. I think that's the pattern. Jade's hitting it that they're doing, because you're right. They could have put fire out anytime, right? I mean, we've seen fire months ago. In fact, this is probably not current fire. It's probably already old, what we're seeing now.
They
I
started
think
fire like
that
a year ago.
they've been refining, right? They've been refining it more and more. If you remember, fire extinguishers were on the roadmap. They were supposed to have came out, in fact, this last patch, and they pushed it off. They took it off. But it doesn't necessarily have to be in, like, let's say a stage 1 level of flame. I honestly think because of the fact that the lightning stuff tied into the coil in Squadron 42, and the fact that they're doing this to reduce the resources being used, is why we're seeing the lightning and stuff. I think the fire actually is going to come in game prior to Squadron.
There were lightning effects back in 2.5 and 2.6.
That's true. Yep,
And
absolutely.
those were static.
Absolutely.
So it did exactly what you're saying.
You guys have seen, like, in the back of the Hammerhead with the engines and stuff, you know, you guys have seen when that thing starts sparking off, right? So I mean, I get what you're saying, Goldman, but honestly, I do. That's why I said I wish we could have some type of way of saying or hearing from them. Those things are already in game, you know. Why haven't you guys went back and read? And there may be some, I'm sure there are reasons why they haven't. And some of them, they've even said it. Yeah, they've said sometimes that if we go back and do this, we have to go back and redo a whole bunch of other stuff. And we'd rather do it once and be done with it instead of doing multiple, you know, upgrades or fixes or whatever the case may be.
Well, so it's a difference between having to rework and building the initial framework in the beginning, right? And the framework can leverage static assets, but then you can add dynamic assets into it later at a later date, right?
But here, let me throw this at you though.
Don't
That's
fall
what they
into
said.
the
Elite dangerous. That's what they said. Elite dangerous. I
Exactly.
was getting ready to go there. I was getting ready to say.
Yep.
That's
Don't
what folks
do
with
that.
Elite dangerous are
That's
dealing with right
exactly
now.
what happened
Elite
with
dangerous
Frontier
is a released DLC laden game versus what we're talking about as early access alpha.
I get it, but I'm saying that progressive dynamic of development that you're talking about is what was sold in Elite.
But that's
what's sold to us every day on everything.
But you're not hearing what I'm saying. Elite people have hit a roadblock now because that is not working. The fact that they had the completed piece with the progressive development that would follow, they're questioning whether or not even their engine is going to be able to support the stuff that they've told them that they would be able to do now. So I'm saying
that's what Star Citizen is facing right now, where it's the engine stuff that they're having challenges with. Server meshing and ICAST, those are things they have to add into the engine. All the things around the fact that trading is just not viable right now is because, you know, it's hey, we're gonna implement trading. It's absolute garbage, but we'll iterate on it later, right? So, you know, those are the things that I would love to see them iterate on, and I get it. Different teams do different things, right? And I'm not saying that this isn't good, right? I'm not saying it's not good. Like I said, I'm getting a lot better. Right in the beginning, it would have been just a straight up eye roll. Like, seriously, where is the higher player count? And I'm starting. I understand why. It's just part of me is just like, hey, look, you know, I wish you could. You know, I wish they would have taken a lot of these human capital resources and put it towards updating something that was actually impactful to the gameplay, like the updated HUDs, fantastic. Hell, they even pushed out an update over this PTU where they got VTOL as a icon on the HUD. Man, I danced when I saw that. Finally, you can tell whether your ship is in VTOL or not. That's awesome. You know, they've done a great job of that. They've done a fantastic job of updating the HUD. So I'm just saying, like,
we
all
got
right,
you. We got you.
You know, it's good, but I would love to see this same type of energy on things that are impacting gameplay. Even not even talking about server meshing ICAST, just other graphical entities and things. And I know they're working on it, right? It's always, we're working on it, but
well, they got 20 engineers now working on it, so hopefully, like you said, if they allocate more people to it, and I know it's frustrating. I get it. Trust me. I think all of us do.
Hey,
sure,
Admiral.
let's do Admiral, and we're gonna let's get moving on because we got to still talk about the rest of the stuff. Go ahead. Because Jay didn't get the comment, and Pops doesn't have a chance. Go ahead.
I just want to jump on what Fastcar was talking about. So I remember back in the day when we had the old, Squadron 42 and the old PU updates, and I remember taking snapshots of like 3.8 and 3.9 because I'm like, oh, I'm finding some things that like are pretty interesting, and a lot of people didn't look at the, would go into Squadron 42 and see the changes. They would go into the PU and see what's coming, and so in 2019 in Squadron 42, they were looking at FPS combat weapon types. That was Q4 of 2019. When was that coming into the PU? That was Q1 of 2020. So the following quarter, FPS combat weapon types was originally done for Squadron 42, and then once they figured it out there, then they pushed it into the PU a quarter later. Now, things like the Ship AI 3D Pathfinding version 2, those actually came out the same time frame, but regarding the FPS combat weapon types, they were like a quarter separate. So there are things that they push, that they do for Squadron 42 first for that's why Chris Roberts is going overseas soon. And then they test it out in the PU. So I just want to remind everybody that I think that's an interesting way to look at it is like, hey, this could already be done for the RPG version of the game, and then at least they're trying to finish it there. That's why we might be seeing stuff that, really is like, why is this being contemplated? Because it's not even why is that even screwing around with like flowers and stuff? And that's because they're trying to finish this game and like test it, and they're going to want to test it in the PU. That's the way I look at it, and in the way it's like, okay, so where are we at with Squadron 42? Where are we at with Squadron 42? It's like, okay, well, that looks great. Because there's like 2 other games beyond Squadron 42 too. There's 3 RPGs.
Good point. Let's get Jade and Pops in real quick because we didn't get their comments on what we saw there at the last part of ISC. Jade, what did you want to share?
Well, you mean about this actual thing here, or
no, just anything that was in that latter part of the ISC.
I'd like to address the whole thing about
Go ahead.
trading, right? So
Sure.
Tony Z basically said, quanta when they come in are going to affect trading. So it makes almost no sense for them to then suddenly make trading profitable again when it's just a static system that they know is going to go away soon. And anything that CIG wants us to test, they always make it the most profitable. So trading will be back.
Yep.
Don't worry, go mad.
That's why they lowered the prices, right? Because they wanted to get us off of trading and go do something else.
Do mining.
That's what they do, right?
Exactly.
I get it. But if they want to, for the people that wanted to do training, they could just substantially increase the stock, right? And
but we're in a test environment. They always even the live server is a test environment. So if whatever they want us to test is where they try to lead us to with profitability.
Yeah. Yes, we have to live with it. Yeah.
Bingo.
What else, Jay? What else are you going to share?
Nothing. I cede my time to Pops.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Pops?
All right. Well, I'm just really looking forward to all the lightning, the wind, all of that. When you examples of when you're going into landing is not so simple. You have wind to deal with, rain, lightning, and I'm just thinking about being on a battlefield. You're fighting another org, and it's lightning and hurricane, being on pyro with volcanic activity going around you, having a fight where these things would be epic, and you just can't wait to get back to them. So and we did think of Go Mad when we saw this, me and my son, and but glad to see Go Mad expanding his horizons, I guess.
He's in my prayer. He's in my prayers every night, Pops. Trust me.
Yeah, we thought of when we saw it. We looked at each other and we said, "Go Mad."
So
Go mad, go mad at this.
Now, honestly, that's why we have GoMap on. He knows that from the very beginning. We want to hear all sides, because they're genuine concerns for people who want to see this game be good.
And
GoMap is truly, and he is truly somebody
no.
who wants this game to be good. So
And speaking of
No,
players,
I
I just want to say that the people want to call it the Jesus path. I'm still going to call it the Holy Ghost path. I'm going to put a TM on that too. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who's been making me drink that all night long. I'm really hydrated now, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And another thing, when we first went to Orison, and I saw the pile of leaves on the ground, I was like, this doesn't look like Star Citizen. These pile of leaves just sitting here. And showing up today, it showed up. So,
All right.
yeah, real quick. I was going to say, did you guys notice when they showed the thing with the thrusters with the mole? Did you notice that at the very end, Disco talked about using it tactically? So I want you all to think about that, because it's not just about the visuals. He said I'd be interested to see how people will use it in a tactical manner.
Right.
So whether you decide to fly over your enemy and blind them or blow them down or whatever the case may be, I thought that was something interesting.
Put dust in the face, put water in the face.
Well, absolutely, to obscure their vision. The other thing I thought was cool was the piece we just saw a second ago with the ships when they were being hit and we were seeing the sparks, that the sparks move now in a direction away from the ship. That's also a great visual cue for pilots so that they can tell what direction or orientation the ship is moving in if they're seeing those sparks flying off a certain way. Because before they just kind of stayed static to the ship. So I thought that was very cool too.
Yeah. And another thing that we noticed, Griff, I think, was a person that pointed out when we were doing the Xeno threat, you mentioned the Cloud Tech and
Be right back.
how it looked.
Yeah, the clouds in the Lagrange points now are actually there, where before you saw them at a distance. You actually pass through them now.
You actually pass through them.
All right. Well, cool. I think we are going to move on to our next point. We have a world broadcast premiere. Gonna switch to that. We have. I'm going to put the link in Twitch chat. NuSoul's new music video, A Night Out in Orison. Put the link
real quick before you get it started, let me ask you guys, what inspired you guys to do this? For those of you who don't know, NuSoul is made up of Pops in Space and Fist to Face, a father and son music production team, and they've written music for us, our theme song, and done some really great videos in relation to Star Citizen. So maybe one of you guys could just real quickly tell us what got you guys to make this particular one, and the name of it, please.
Yeah, well, we did it in the heart of the first one, the remix that we originally made, and we thought that we would continue on that track for a little bit, doing remixes. And our main goal is to bring a wider variety of music into the game than just what's in there now. Get CIG thinking about bringing in people in the community, because there's a lot of people out there that do wonderful music. Jade, she's a fantastic musician. She helped us along with this project. Basically, I'm just doing what we can to add to Star Citizen.
Nice, awesome. Okay, well, without further ado, what's the name of this piece?
Night Out. It's A Night Out in Orison.
A Night Out in Orison. Okay, let's check it out.
So how can I help watching the clouds pass through? No clue at a time, no reason to be subdued. Beyond the skies for the first time, they draw the lines, just right in between. I'm chasing you. I'm chasing you.
Welcome to Orison.
맘대로 할래 yeah. 그렇게 보지 마 어쨌든 나는 나 그래도 나는 도도해 항상 do my thing 너를 원해 내 맘대로 할래 yeah. 그렇게 보지 마 어쨌든 나는 나 그래도 나는 도도해 항상 do my thing trembling air feels like October skies fumbling lost all track of space and time and I know how things must seem
You want to go that one more time, or talk about it now?
Let's talk about it.
Okay. All right. So, okay. I'm not supposed to go first. So I'll let someone else go first. Go Map, you there?
Yes.
What do you think?
I thought it was awesome, man. Jade, that was beautiful. That was amazing. Griff, welcome to Orison. That was nice.
Welcome to Orison.
The beat was amazing. Gentlemen, you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dark Knight. Sorry.
Oh, well, I gotta say, as a musician, or at least after hearing this, as I thought I was a musician, this was this was absolutely beautiful. It really was. Just just the production, everything, the musicianship that was done in this was just absolutely phenomenal for me. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you all. That was just beautiful.
Oh,
And don't
thank
forget,
you.
give them an upvote in that link I posted so they can get more notoriety.
Oh, you know it.
I put it in chat one more time. Krishnagi, what are your thoughts?
I think it was beautiful. I gotta be honest, I did have to move the screen off to the side because I was like, uh-oh, spoilers. So I had to listen to it as a true audio file. But it was fantastic. I loved the piano keys, the soft notes in there, and it just kind of made me. This is why I'm just like kind of thinking to myself how it makes me feel, and I just thought of like those great animes that you have, like kind of like Spirited Away, like was it Miyazaki? Is that like his films where they just have like soft piano parts, and of course there's some great other parts too, some good heavier beats, and of course Jade was fantastic. I do have to wonder if since I haven't heard of anyone from the Banu or Xeon languages having some music that you can maybe try to figure out how they
heavy
sing.
metal. They like really loud
maybe.
heavy metal.
Maybe we could do something like that. It'd be interesting. But yeah, it was beautiful. It was really fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yo, real quick, I just had an idea, and we have to. It'll be a community campaign, so everybody will have to push for this and a comment in the thread about this. It'll be awesome if we can get these tracks as songs playing in the backgrounds in the bars in these cities.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to. Because yeah.
So we'll have let's get a campaign going
Yeah.
to get folks to say, get CIG to take notice and say, hey, put this, have the DJ spinning this in the bars. So when you go in there, when you go to the bar in Orison, This is what you hear.
How do we get there? I'm not trying to ignore you. You just submitted the question in the wrong format. We have a particular format that we use for questions. So if you want to put that in, go ahead. I think we Pop. Do you have any thoughts? Oh, wait,
he can't have any thoughts. He
wrote
wrote the
it.
song. He can't wrote the video.
That was my messed up because I wanted to say that on the link it said this is a tribute to Pedro Camacho for creating the Crusader theme. Me, Fistface, and my dad, Pop and Face, wanted to create a remix of the beautiful theme that Pedro created for Crusader. This video is inspired by a night out with two friends enjoying all that Orison had to offer. We really hope you enjoyed the video and the music. Thanks to Jay Starwatcher and Griffin RPG Gaming for the contribution. That's what I was trying to get to. Sorry.
Yeah. No, just additionally, the only thing I can add again is a big thank you to Jade and Griff. We really appreciate it. They are future, I don't know if you want to call them collaborations, but just future projects with other people that we are doing things with. And it's really all about community. I don't know what else to really say. It's just about community and everybody that we've met. It's inspiring. That's all I can say.
Well, you guys did a fabulous job with it. I will tell you, the smooth jazz works for Orison. It does not work for Hurston. So you guys picked the right place to put that song.
Yeah, the bass really got me, and I wanted to ask, like we had a pre-show gathering, and I was trying not to ask questions there because I could ask questions here. So how long did it take you to work on this?
It's a little over a week.
Yeah, about yeah.
And how much footage did you record for it?
All of it.
Like in gigabytes or time.
That.
Man, I would probably have to say about maybe 3 or 4 days. Because the problem is like a lot of times, like I'm trying to now work with the excuse me, the gamepad in the game.
Okay.
So I had to get used to the camera and key binding the because I use a PS4 with a PS4 controller with some software where you can customize it and all of that stuff. So I had to get used to trying to hold the buttons down and move the camera a certain way, and it was kind of frustrating at times. So I had to get the shot. I'm getting the same shot. I'm doing the same shot, and it took me literally half an hour for that shot where I'm coming down at Orison, where that fire pit scene. I had to do so many takes of getting that, because of the way I had to really try to finesse the joystick on the gamepad. So it took some getting used to, but it was fun.
But one of the things I'd like to say that about the video, it's Orison is not optimized, so there was a lot of
it was.
I was gonna say. My next question was going to be: is there going to be a remix to the remix for when the patch goes live, so you can get some better shots?
It's possible.
we could do that. You can always improve. You always listen to the song. There's always things you wish you would have or taken away, and that always happens. You wish you would have EQ'd this different. You'll go on forever with one song if you just don't leave it like it is. Yeah. And
you guys did a great job. It really is nice. And you guys make sure you guys give them
especially with what you had to work with. Because I can imagine like PTU crashing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You guys be sure to upvote them. Again, we put the link in there, so please give them a good upvote and comment on the RSI website. Okay.
And I especially like how you implement my last request. I put in Colossals. I'm cheap in there. I appreciate that.
Right, we got a couple questions still we got to hit fast cards. I want to jump on those. Okay.
All right, you want to hit them?
Yeah, I can
have them up.
Yeah, I've got. Let's see who was the last one. We've got a few, right?
Yeah, we got 4.
Okay. Black
I got
Intellect.
him. If you
I've got it. Yeah, Black
Okay.
Intellect. Black Intellect asks, how do you think the limitations CIG is implementing over the next 12 months, physicalized inventory, etc., or et al., will change the player base? Will it push away old backers versus attract new players? Anybody got any thoughts on that before we answer it?
Repeat that question.
Well, he's basically asking, like, they're starting to
copy it.
implement limitations, right? Such as like inventory, right? You're not going to be able to have the magic bag of holding anymore, right? Eventually, it's going to be where you die, right? They've implemented a thing now with missiles, for example, right? Where you don't get the automatic reload if you claim. So he's asking, will that be a turnoff for players? Will people get into it? Will it draw new players? Will people be like, I don't like the way they're changing this game and leave? What do you think?
In my opinion, I think people, depending on their background, let me start there first. You come from a lot of MMOs where you have unlimited, almost an unlimited inventory, where you those people I think will struggle. But I believe if they stay in the game long enough to talk to a lot of people, where this game reflects closer to real life scenarios, the fire, the weather. Everything Chris Roberts is putting in the game is closer to real life, and I think once they get that point, then they'll understand if they stay long enough to get it.
I think the quick pew pew players, those are those that are out there playing Call of Duty and Fortnite that want to get into an MMO that is, point and shoot and blow and pew pew. They're going to be the ones that are going to be the first to run. It's not going to fit their gaming style.
But they can always go to theaters of war.
That's why it's there. An Arena Commander. It is there for those types of people to play in those kinds of environment within the Star Citizen universe and enjoying some of those aspects and benefits, but getting the fast-paced action that they're looking for. It's exactly what Theaters of War is there for.
Well, that's why it will be there for.
Yep. But yeah, you're right. People will leave, but and this game will appeal eventually once it gets to a point of release. But even now, as it's changing, it's moving more towards a serious gameplay as opposed to a more casual point and shoot type of gameplay, if that makes sense.
I came over here in 2016, late 2016, like December 2016, from the No Man's Sky community. And No Man's Sky, as you may or may not know, has limited inventory. So I had no problem with the idea that eventually Star Citizen would eventually. I kind of thought it was weird when I first came over that we could, hold as much of whatever. I don't have a problem with it, but then again, I'm not an old backer like from the Kickstarter, nor am I somebody that just came, a couple years ago. So.
Why is it, Jay, whenever you say old, I see start looking at my gray hair? I don't know.
Yeah,
me too. I don't know, Pops.
I
know. I'm just teasing. I
know. Pops is a young backer because he backed the game recently.
Okay, no, those are great answers, guys.
Yeah, I think Cade had it. Cade was putting out Dark Knight's answer while Dark Knight was talking. But Cade also said, I think anyone who backed Star Citizen is here to stay in locked in because there's nothing else like Star Citizen. People take long breaks though.
Okay. Yeah. Junkyard in Space asked the question, do you think they could take the cherry blossom tech, use it in a place with sandstorms, and actually bury a player in their ship?
100%, I think.
Bury him. Cool.
Absolutely. I think what we saw with the leaves and the cherry blossom leaves, absolutely. That'll happen with water and dust and and whatever else might be found, debris. Maybe found on Hurston. Who knows? It could always go that far. Snow. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we do have snow. Yeah, that's true.
So
absolutely.
If snow and sand can bury your ship, can you shovel those items?
You have a ship that can bend space-time. You should just be able to take off right through it. You have that kind of power. You don't need a shovel.
It's not about
You're
taking off. It's about getting
About
into
getting
it.
in. You talking about getting
okay.
in? Yeah.
I
You gotta
see.
get
Bring
in.
that snowblower attachment right there.
Right. I agree, Dark Knight. Snowblower.
All right.
That's a good one, Kate. That's a good
Carry one.
All right,
Let's see.
Lady Space Patrol says, do you think the fact that they are using the 600i to test fire gameplay is an indication the gold standard for the ship is coming soon?
100%.
Absolutely.
Notice the origin, people. Notice that, right?
Yeah.
Origin
Hey,
jump
we love it.
at your service.
Yeah, I think even Dark Knight alluded to that earlier about the test itself. You know, we were joking around about the materials and everything, but yeah, we do know that that's a factor, that maybe that's why they're doing it.
I mean, you
All
guys did say that fire was probably old. Like that video of that fire was probably something from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, a month or two isn't that old. I mean, they've been working on 600.
Well, I mean, in development time, it can be.
All right, and the last question is from Black Intellect. Do you think locals on Horizon pronounce it Orison and get pissed when tourists butcher the name like folks do in Missouri or Missouri?
Missouri? Okay, that's a new
Locals
one.
pronounce it Orison. Because if you go there, you hear on the announcements, they pronounce it Orison. Being that it's a tourist destination, I think they're probably used to tourists pronouncing it whatever way they want. Like if you live in a tourist kind of city, you're kind of used to that. It's like in Seattle when we see people walking with umbrellas. We know they're from out of town.
I mean, the city I grew up was called Marietta, but everybody from there called it Marietta.
Wait. Here's a question. So, what do you use in Seattle if you don't use an umbrella?
A toque. You wear a toque on your head when it's raining,
What?
like in the fall to the spring to the
I didn't know
early
what that
summer
was either.
sometimes.
I didn't know what that was. Jade had to explain it to me. It's a bean.
Yeah, our Canadian listeners will definitely know what it is.
Yeah, that's why.
It's something that we
That's
share
why
in
I gave
common.
that's why I gave the camera a side eye just now too.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's like basically like a cap that has these little things that come down over your ears. You've probably seen them before. Just didn't know what they were called.
But I mean, that doesn't protect your eyes though. So
No, but I mean, like it doesn't. The rain we get here is like a fine mist. Usually, it's not like what you're getting like on the East Coast with big, huge raindrops coming down. Like it's more like it's like this
Like more
fine
like a
mist
fog.
that just seeps into your bones. Yeah. It's more like a wet fog. Or you might get a drizzle. We seldom get like big thunderstorms.
all right, fair enough.
Fidji was talking about a big cap in your from the suburbs. I was thinking of when you were saying something about Missouri and Missouri. If you hear Missouri, because I used to live in St. Louis, if you hear Missouri, you know they're from down south. Only the people from down south Missouri call it Missouri. Everybody else up north calls it Missouri. So I can hear how you say Marietta and Marietta. Exactly.
No, Marietta.
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 Okay, Marietta.
All right, so we have one last question because I called him out earlier for using the wrong system. Now that he put the system in, we had to take it. If CIG can create a whole new city, why can't they give us the ships we already paid for years ago?
I guess to answer that question, there's a couple of answers. One of them that CIG has shared with us is that the priority on ships first were going to be ships that were in Squadron 42. And so one of the things that we know is that the ships that we do have currently, that means that they're in the Squadron 42 game. We never did find out which ones would be and which ones wouldn't be. There are some people who have asked that question also in relation to why are some ships coming out, for example. Let's take some of the earlier ships. Like let's use the Banu Merchantman, for example, which has been around since 2014 or 2015. And then you've got a ship like not the Perseus, the Polaris, right, which came out in 2016 or 2017. But then you've got these ships that pop up out of nowhere, right? Like the new RSI fighter, or the Valkyrie, which was not anywhere, just popped up out of nowhere. And some people say, well, how come they put out these ships that they didn't even have listed before? But then you got these earlier ships that people paid for 3, 4, 7 years ago. I don't know what the priority list is in relation to that. CIG has told us that when they put out ships now, they want to, as much as possible, make sure that when those ships come into the game, that the mechanics are there along with them. I'll use a ship like the Reclaimer, for example, which has been out for quite a while, or the Starfarer, which has been out for quite a while, and neither one of them are functioning. I mean, you can fly in them, you can put cargo in them, but they don't do what they're supposed to do in game. And so, in a way, you may get that that Idris, or you may get some other ship, but if it's not functional in game, you just basically got another cargo ship. And I'm not saying that to dismiss your question. I'm just saying, I know CIG has said that they would like to be able to make sure that mechanics are working on ships when they come in game. If anybody else has any thoughts on that, because there are ships, the Endeavor, Banu Merchantman, I'm trying to think of another one. It's an older one. I mentioned the Polaris.
You covered most of the ones that I know of.
That are at least 4 years or more, if I'm not mistaken. That are at least 4 years or more.
The Orion.
The Orion, yes. Oh, Genesis Starliner, same thing. You know, those are other ships that, you know, some people, I have several of them, and they go back that far. But I've also resigned myself to the fact that at least the track record with CIG is that when they come out with ships, they're even better. They've learned more. The design is better. The functionality on them is better. So in some ways, I'm making myself be patient, because I know when my Endeavor comes, or when my Genesis Starliner comes, that they will have learned a lot. Because some of the ships that I have earlier, for example, the 600i, we know that there was a lot of mistakes made on the first iteration of a luxury ship with that ship. But they learned a lot after they did the Phoenix. They learned even more after they did the 890. So I would just tell you that hopefully whatever ship you're waiting on, it will be the ship that you really, really want and paid for, and nothing short of that.
Yeah, maybe David from Relay will like the new version when it comes out, or when it goes live. Put it that way.
The new version of
whatever they redo the 600.
Oh, 600. Yeah.
If they put a med bed in there, man, I'm buying it.
Yeah, I'd love to see them develop that out.
A lot of people would be doing that.
Yeah, if they develop that more towards science, medicine, or something, that would be really, not medicine, but just something like that. That would be really cool.
Or just put the medbed in, like the character, both exploration ships. Like the 600i exploration one should have the medbed. The touring one, maybe not.
Yes,
I agree.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, 3 size 5s and a med bed.
It's a sale, huh?
Thank you very
much.
I
didn't mean to jump the gun, because I wasn't expecting a detailed answer. I appreciate it though, because I was going to give a short answer. It's quite 42. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, Squadron 42 is just one answer, you know, and that's the one that they've told us about. But honestly, I don't know what that priority list is. You know, I'm sure there's some priority list there, because they've told us that there are even more ships that we haven't even seen yet that are to come.
There's like 150 that we know of. They're public. I'm going to guess maybe there's another 50 more at least.
And we haven't even got into alien ships. There's a whole lot of stuff that we still haven't seen yet. They've told us even more vehicles are coming, believe it or not. They said, in fact, there'd be a lot more vehicles coming. So there's still a lot of things that we haven't seen.
I mean, you can imagine a lot of ships just in general in the background of, you know, Squadron 42. But you mentioned the Valkyrie. I mean, they released that, I think, October of 2018. That's when they're like, hey, this is the Valkyrie. And at the same time, they put it into the Squadron 42 official trailer. That came out at the same time. So it's like they had this thing on the board for a while. And then we practically got it, like, you know, I forget if it was right then is when we got it, or if it was like a year later. I don't know.
It was right then.
Was it right then?
I got my Valkyrie Liberator right then.
Yeah, you did. I'm so jealous of you. I'm so jealous of you. The Liberator.
Her ship
missed
is
it.
beautiful. Yeah, that ship she has is gorgeous.
Well, let's start to wrap this up before we turn this into a capping table, episode of capping table. I said I could go 4 hours. I said I could go 4 hours, but I was joking. I didn't expect it to go ahead. I'm kidding. But next up, just want to talk about we're having a bar citizen on August 14th. I'll put the information in quick chat. Come to us. Come hang out with us. International bar citizen. We're not just trying to include the Americans. We want to include people across the pond on both sides of the earth. August 14th, 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. Click on the link to register. We have 2 weeks, like a little bit more than 2 weeks before that comes out. The last time I looked, we had like 27 registrants. So I'm expecting closer to 50 by the time all is said and done. But we'll see. I'll probably get one in there because I put this in a bunch of places that I didn't put it in last time. So we'll see. But
rumor has it the last one was lit.
It was lit, all right.
Oh, yeah.
It was. This is being sponsored by Soul Citizens, sponsored by Yacht Club SC, and we have a new sponsor this time as well, and that's the Astro Pub, Paul Shelley, as well.
I gotta put that in.
So, yeah, hopefully, you guys make sure that you register for this. You do have to RSVP for it. We, like Jay just said, we had a really great time last night. It was a marathon last time. We're not expecting it to be another marathon, but we are expecting to have a good time. So you guys, of course, are more than welcome to join us. And hopefully we'll have somebody from CIG even drop by like the last couple times. So sign up.
I'm expecting someone from CIG, but we'll see.
I'm expecting to break that time record.
No.
Oh, no.
You will be by yourself.
The ending was epic.
It was.
But not again.
That was a great time, y'all.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so for Sunday's show, our next topic is Why So Long? The 1st of August, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sunday. I forgot to put in who's going to be on there, but I think it's me, Griffin, Unique, and one other person. I'll look it up.
No, I don't think it's Unique. I think it's me, you. I need to look, but we have a guest. Uber Nerd, the wild man of Star Citizen, is going to be joining us. That's what I call him because he's such a wild guy.
And Colossal.
Thank you. Okay.
NASCAR, Griffin,
Colossal, and Unique is on there.
Is he?
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay. And I know he was supposed to be on last week. I guess. Yeah. Okay. I'm zoning out. Okie dokie.
So come check us out, and it should be an interesting show, a very entertaining show with characters such as Uber Nerds, and the rest of us are all interested in our own aspect. So yeah, it should be fun.
Are you ready to hear some great music?
I want to hear him
We'll sing. Exactly.
And he will sing.
He will sing.
So I just want to say, check us out on our social media. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We also have podcasts on SoundCloud for people who don't want to watch the
SoundCloud and iTunes. iTunes too.
Thank you. And check out our merch. I'm not wearing a shirt today. I'll wear it on Sunday. But we have T-shirts, gamepad, and cups or mugs. So check the link below for that stuff. Do you have a raid target, Griffin?
Yes, we're gonna do phase 1.
Phase 1. Yeah, check them out. Cool.
Right, phase 1.
So it's been an interesting, fun show. I want to thank all our people who are in today with us. Griffin as always. Admiral Kusanagi, Dark Knight, Fist to Face, Gomab, Jade, and Potten Face. Thank you for hanging out with us and making a good show. Thank you for making me drink all that lemonade that every time you did.
One more for the world, man. Fidelity and immersion. Go ahead and take another one, brother.
No, the show's over, so I'm done with that. All right, so peace.
Every time you took one, I took one.